First. First. Third. Dang it. That's what we like. MAGA German. MAGA German. Oh no, we don't want a MAGA German. We don't need a German that's a MAGA. What's going on here? Chuck Schumer is so cool. I love Chuck Schumer. I feel like Chuck Schumer should be president someday. If we're lucky, Chuck Schumer will be president. It'll be a shame if he's not, for real. Nice. Okay. I told someone to call in. Oh. What if Trump puts 100% tariff on video games, dude? 100% tariff on any video game from outside the US. I hope you're joking. About what? Who's joking? Hassan Ethan Slop. Yeah, I watched it. Hassan is really gross. His conversation style, even if you agree with him, he's so uninformed. And it's just, I don't even know much about it, but you could just tell someone's uninformed if they keep on bringing up contemporary, like a contemporary way to discuss it, and they refuse to go into any nuance. Like when Ethan said about like, the reason Jewish people felt the need to have Israel is because Jews were kicked out of all these countries, and after World War II, and these countries, which were Islamic states, essentially, like they would say, "Hey, we're gonna kick the Jews out," or be hostile, and there were conflicts in a bunch of different countries, and then Jewish people said, "Hey, blah blah blah, we're upset and we're targeted. We need somewhere safe," and then it's all a complicated thing, but like. The minimal part of it is knowing that there is nuance there, and there is some type of legitimate reason Jewish people wanted somewhere to be able to exist, even if you disagree with everything about Israel. You can still understand that to a minor extent, or just admit like Jewish people have been through things historically as to why they'd feel anxiety right now. Hello.
Hello?
Howdy, you're on the YouTube politics thing. What's up?
Oh, is this the guy on the stream?
Yep.
Are we live?
Yeah, we're live. Yeah, we could talk about politics if you want.
Oh, yeah, that's what I was hoping for.
Yes. What do you want to talk about?
Well, if I'm not mistaken, I do disagree with you on most things.
Good.
But, the one thing that I was hoping to get your opinion on is a woman's right to choose, otherwise known as abortion.
Yeah, do you have a guiding question?
I guess I have like a claim that we could debate if you want.
Sure.
Okay. My claim is that abortion is murder and is never justified under any circumstances. Would you agree with that?
Nope. I would say that's a religious fundamentalist take, not grounded in any biological or secular biological logic or any secular moral code that you can really imagine. And you need to be a fundamentalist in some religion to believe in that.
Okay. When do you believe life begins?
Life begins at conception. Actually, life begins at every cell that exists because cells are life, if we want to talk about life. But personhood would be the argument.
Okay. When do you believe personhood begins?
I think a personhood 100% begins when a fetus is born medically. And then if you talk about like sentience, that's another argument people use. Sentience can be when the parts of the brain develop to have consciousness, and then you could say also bodily autonomy is another argument, but I think all the arguments are much stronger than the opposing view.
Okay, so basically you are arguing for like sentience, and after sentience, abortion would be murder after that? Or are you arguing all 9 months up until birth?
I think from when it comes to making laws in our society, we can make laws that say, if it's an elective abortion with no doctor intervening at all, then at some point in the pregnancy, that with a woman, if it's like I don't know, post 24 weeks or something, then at some point you could make an argument that it could be unethical. But I would put no limits on things like medical abortions if a doctor says it's medically necessary.
Okay, and what circumstances is it medically necessary?
If a doctor deems it to be a serious threat to the woman's health, and that definition can be broad, and I would prefer that be based on medical boards and what doctors decide in research. So if it can be any type of harm to the woman, any type of long-term harm, any type of any chance of death, or anything like that, pretty much any cause a doctor says this is justified for a medical purpose, and there might be complications of some kind. I would say there should be no limits on that because the other example or the other option is having limits on it and many women being very, very harmed. Um, and I don't think that should be something the government is setting limits on. I don't think a judge should decide that. I think it should be 100% in the jurisdiction of the doctor.
Okay. All right, so let's go through like third trimester abortions for right now. We can move on to others later. But do you know how long it takes to do a third trimester abortion? Like as in number of hours or whatever?
How many hours? I don't know the exact number of hours, but I don't think it would change my opinion if it's for medical purposes. But yeah, you can go ahead.
Okay, so a third trimester abortion actually takes about 2 to 3 days, which when you have medical complications, you want to end those complications as soon as possible. So it is actually better to deliver the baby via C-section or cesarean section if you want to use the technical term. And that cesarean section takes about 1 hour, which will end the medical complications a lot faster than an abortion. And then you save the lives of both the mother and the baby.
So I mean, at that point, we don't want the woman to get to that point. That's the whole point of not having any laws on like, medical purposes if there's ever going to be complications at all. So like there, I would want there to be options for the woman to, see a doctor earlier and get enough care so you don't have to rely on a very dangerous surgery like a C-section to, to terminate the pregnancy. But for for elective purposes, for very late term abortions, then for the consciousness argument for bodily autonomy, after something like 20 weeks or 24 weeks, I mean that'd be considered a person under those arguments. So that would not be good for elective, but yeah.
Okay, so so you are advocating for no limits on abortion before birth, correct?
There should be no limits on medical abortions where a doctor says it's medically necessary under whatever purview they have for harm to the mother. For elective purposes, if someone says, well, I don't want the child anymore, then at the very late term, then I think there could be restrictions there legally. And most like European countries have the limit around 20 weeks. And I think that's generally a good guidance. But the like the red states in America, their laws are more similar to Saudi Arabia than other free countries.
Okay. So do you have a justification for an elective abortion before like sentience at like 20 to 24 weeks?
If I'm not going to say it's a person, if it's not sentient, if it's not able to survive without the mother, then I don't. I mean, at that point, I would say it's a part of the mother's body. It should be the mother's choice whether to continue with the pregnancy before harm can be done to a person.
Okay, so if you are saying that the baby can't survive without the mother, then that could also be applied to newborns who were born, like, say, 1 month ago. A 1-month-old cannot survive on its own. So are you also advocating for killing for killing a 1-month-old?
So you wouldn't
Like
be killing
a
a
1 month
one
old
month
born
old.
child, to be clear.
So like if a doctor says, for example, with a late term abortion, it would not be elective. So I think like 99.9% of late term abortions are gonna be, well, 91% happen before the third trimester, or 91% happens in the first trimester. I think like 0.00, it's a very small percent that even happens in the third trimester. And out of those numbers, I'm
Yes,
pretty sure
it is
it's hard to even find cases of elective abortions because they don't really happen. It's hard to even find any data on it because it happens so
after
such a few
after
rate.
like the first trimester. Yes,
Yeah, but that's the whole thing where
because
it's like if it's hard to find data on it, it's not happening that much. And when I'm saying there should be no limits on medical abortion, if the fetus is born and is a child now, it's out of the woman's body. That threat to the woman's body is now gone because it's out already. So it wouldn't be a conversation on the woman's right to be protected from hosting the growing being or having complications or whatever it would be. That would it would not apply for like the 1 month old.
okay, so basically, okay, I'm trying to figure out your argument here. So what? All right, you know what? Let's go down this route. Let's say theoretically a woman is pregnant and she finds out she's having a girl and she wants a boy. And should she be able to get an abortion just because she wants a boy instead of a girl?
I think that a woman should be able to make any choice that she wants before it's considered to be a person. I don't think at that point I don't think any harm is being done to a person. And at that point, yeah, if a woman wants to terminate the pregnancy for any reason, I don't want the government involved in monitoring a woman or monitoring miscarriages or blaming a woman for different things before personhood.
Okay, so that is called sex selective abortion, and as far as I'm aware, it is like wildly illegal in like all 50 states. So for like a lot of ethical reasons, because you start getting into like a lot of moral problems and like eugenics and stuff. So how about Down syndrome? What if a mother finds out that her baby is going to have Down syndrome and she doesn't want a Down syndrome baby?
Um, so like my argument so I would say that's wrong. For example, I would say that it's not good to
I would
select based
agree
on
with
that.
that.
So like, but I would never say the government should be involved in determining that, and even having a woman be subjected to a legal trial for that when she's not harming anyone, she's making a choice for her body. I could say that could be discouraged to do things like that. If you morally disagree with it, but when it comes to the government's the government's power to infringe upon someone's personal right to privacy and everything else, then I would not say I would not want any laws on that. I'm not sure what the laws are in America. I'm pretty sure there's no laws banning. Let me see. So 11 states have laws banning abortions on specifically for sex selection. So like, even if someone wanted to do it for that reason, if they wanted to, they just couldn't say it was for that reason, even if they have elective abortions available. But I'm pretty sure it's only red states that have bans on things like that. Let me see. Yeah, it's so like for example, Germany, France, and the Netherlands. I saw just googling it quick. They allow those kinds of abortions, but they discourage it culturally and medically. They discourage it because they discourage things like eugenics and other things like that. But then you could ask a question like, I would ask you then, if they can detect through genes that there's a recessive trait that is I forget the names of all them, like Huntington or whatever all the names are, or there's like they find in the genetic code or whatever it might be that there's 100% chance that the child's going to die at 1 year old and they're 6 weeks into the pregnancy, then the argument would be like, oh, should they be able to abort the child in that situation? I would say there should not be any laws on it so they can make any decision they want to. But then you could have, you could have different moral standards for that. But again, in my opinion, calling it pro-choice and pro-life is really wrong. I think it is pro-choice and anti-choice. It is objectively that. That is the laws. Like when it comes to what the government should be able to do, it is pro-choice and anti-choice. Pro-life is a moral determination. It's not a legal one. So it's not really a policy decision, in my opinion.
But you could make it into a policy decision. But
Yeah, but you're taking
okay,
away their
so
choice, right? It's anti-choice for them. But being pro-choice does not assign anything to you in terms of what you need to do. You could be pro-life and be pro-choice at the same time.
okay, what about the choice of the baby?
I mean, we
Does
don't
the
we don't have
baby
we have
not?
different beliefs, and your beliefs are based on religious fundamentalism and not based on any
I
logic
I
or
am
based on
not
any ethical
religious.
arguments. So, okay, well, your arguments are just stupid then. And if you don't have a religious argument, I have no. What was your argument then for every single abortion being murder?
Well, life begins at conception. It is a human life, and you should not kill humans, and therefore abortion is murder, and murder is wrong, and therefore abortion is wrong in all circumstances.
Okay, well, I think a person or a human is defined by what's in the brain. If someone's brain dead, they're no longer a person to me. You could probably pull the plug on that person, and we legally can. So I don't consider someone without a brain a human or a person because at that point they would not be given any ethical concerns because they are not a person. You could have a heartbeat and not have a brain and still be alive, but not be a person. You cannot have no heart and a brain, obviously, and then you'll be alive without a heart. But you can be alive with a heartbeat and no brain, but you can't do the other way around. Um, Actually, you need a brain to
Okay,
be able
so
to.
are
When I
you
say brain,
arguing for
I mean
like
the parts of the brain that allow you to be sentient, the sentient part of the brains that you actually store thought in and everything. But
okay, so you're arguing for like sentience or consciousness. Okay, so let's say theoretically we have an 8-year-old child, like an 8-year-old born child, that gets into a car crash and loses all of his past memories, and he is now in a coma for the next 9 months. Should we be able to kill him?
no, unless if it's a fetus, but I don't think that's a fetus. I think that's a person that was badly injured. Yeah.
Okay, so what is the moral difference there?
If we as a society want to put aside resources for this already developed human that has the capability in their brain of being sentient, to be protected under the law, that would not be at all in conflict with my position on, you have to have the ability to be sentient, and they still have the ability to be sentient, and that child you brought up still has that ability already, so it can be sentient, it can feel things, it can feel pain.
Okay,
Now, if it's
so
going to
are
be in a
you
permanent
arguing
coma
for
forever,
future
so if
sentience?
if there's someone who's in a permanent coma, they can never wake up again. It'd be a different conversation. But yeah, especially not being in a woman's body as well. The big argument with women is also a property rights. It's a right to her own body, property rights, and also bodily autonomy argument relies on that as well. So I mean, it's not if we wanted to divert resources for that, then yeah, they should be protected. They already have the capability to do it, to be sentient.
Okay, well, I would argue that when the woman chose to have sex, she made the choice to potentially give up her bodily autonomy temporarily in order to carry this child and eventually give birth, assuming no things like miscarriage or things like that.
I would just say that it's not a person until it has some qualification. Just having life is not a person. But yeah, I mean, there's risk to everything that we do every single day. But I'm not going to hold someone to carry a fetus in their body for 9 months based on them wanting to have casual sex, or have sex in general, or have protection, or whatever it might be. It might not be casual, it might be with a lover, or I guess it depends. But yeah, I mean, it's fine. You should be able to do that, and not. It does not change my position on yeah, her choice to manage what's her own body.
Okay. Well, I am also against casual sex, but okay.
Well, I know that. I
So
know that.
what do you think makes someone a person?
That's interesting that you said that actually. So like being anti-casual sex is a bigger predictor of being pro, or anti-choice or pro-life than anything. Because religious people who are pro, someone being able to have casual sex are going to be pro-choice more likely. But the religious ideologies that say you cannot have casual sex will be much more anti-choice or pro-life. Same applies for non-religious people who are very anti-casual sex. Largely, it comes from like an insecurity if someone is not very active, or if they just think it's a moral failing. Then they extend that to this woman should be able to suffer because she's having casual sex, and I don't like casual sex. So it's a really interesting thing. It's actually not religion that's correlative for this as much as just your views on casual sex and sexuality in general. Shout out to my liberal arts gender studies people. Sorry, what was your question again?
Me?
Yeah, I forgot what you said. I'm sorry.
My question was, what makes someone a person?
I'd say that they have the ability to have experiences, to feel things, to retain thoughts, to have some type of human experience. Would have to be had for someone to be a person, or prior or future, and having those capabilities to manage thoughts on board. I would not say like a if I take a computer and rip out the GPU and the CPU, I would not call it a computer anymore. Then it's just a battery and a motherboard. But if you add those processing units in, now it can process information and be able to do things. So that's really my same thing.
Okay, so now we're again back to like the person in the coma that has lost all of their memory and all of their past experience. If they are going to awake from this coma and they have potential future experience, can we kill them?
Do they already have the ability to feel things?
Um, let's say no. They are currently unable to feel things, but they may gain the ability to feel things in the future.
I think a fully formed human body at that point, I would say no. Because at that point you're destroying a fully formed human that is born, and has the ability to survive on its own. So no, the bodily autonomy argument would take over there.
Okay. So okay, that's not a bad argument. Um, so again, on the bodily autonomy thing, does the unborn child have its own bodily autonomy, or do we just like not care? Do we just like throw it away?
So bodily autonomy would be like predicated on the ability to survive outside of the womb, though. So it would not be able to survive because I mean, a newborn or like a 6 week old fetus looks like a tadpole. So I mean, it cannot survive even when there's a heartbeat. It's not even really a heartbeat. It's just like a cell impulse or a cell pulse. Like, so yeah, it would not be the same thing there.
Okay, but again, a baby that was born 2 weeks ago cannot survive outside of the womb, at least not on its own.
But it's not relying on being hosted inside a body to bring that to fruition, and it's also able to interpret and it has consciousness, it has sentience at that point. It's out of the womb.
Okay, well, sentience is a very arbitrary it's a very arbitrary point, like because a pig has the approximately the same level of sentience as a 3-year-old human. So
Okay.
and a pig does not hold the same moral worth as a human, even a newborn human. I would argue that a pig doesn't hold the same moral worth as a zygote at conception.
So I mean, in general, I would still put humans valued above, for us, for our purposes, valued above pigs in that stage, and also having the ability to feel pain and things like that would put higher ethical concerns under that person.
Yeah, I would agree.
And I would still say that it's not like a pig embryo would not be a pig until it has the ability to feel, sentience. But at that point, we're talking about self-awareness and the ability to have a consciousness, which we think arises in the same parts of the brain that allow processing and memory and that kind of stuff. So we predict around like 20, 24 weeks, you develop the ability to have a consciousness. That's the debatable part. The sentient part is not really debatable, but the consciousness is really difficult. But that's a big philosophical question, which is another reason I don't think there should be limits on it. There could be limits, but like 6 week bans are insane for that reason because a lot of this is just a philosophical and moral argument rather than a real ethical argument or a freedom argument. And I think the ethical and freedom arguments side with liberals and the religious and moral finger wagging of traditional values sides more with conservatives, because you can't really marry both of those, because to have religiosity or to be really against the cultural movement that approves of casual sex, at that point it's hard because someone could say it's wrong to have casual sex, it's wrong to do an abortion, But then if I'm saying I want to maximize freedom, would you just like admit that you would take in, but you would probably say you're pro freedom for the child and you're not anti freedom for the mother, but it would still be taking away her freedom. But you're willing to
Yes,
take
I
away her
would say
freedom.
that.
Okay. Yeah. So.
I am pro freedom for the child and not anti freedom for the mother. I would say that, yes. So, my question for you, 4-week fetus in utero, what species is it?
A 4-week fetus in utero? Like what species?
Yes,
Is
a,
it?
a fetus that was conceived 4 weeks ago. What species is it?
I'm pretty sure it would still be be an embryo. Do you mean like a human?
Okay, so what species is the embryo? It still has a specific species.
It's still gonna be along the human species.
Yes, correct. And therefore it should get human rights, namely the right to life.
Okay. Well, I would obviously say that I don't care about that. We could use any word or definition we want to, but I would side with the medical field and the freedom lovers on this side, brother.
Okay. Hmm. Well, it seems like we aren't going to convince each other on this issue.
Well, I mean, we're not gonna convince each other. We're doing it for the audience, and like when you make
Yeah.
arguments, you should always be like you should always be geared towards whoever's watching. So when I say like I'm pro freedom, my big argument as well is just like maternal mortality rates are skyrocketing in red states that implement these laws. So we're causing a lot of harm to mothers based off of arguments that are really not really tied in really ethical arguments. You're kind of just saying it's a human life. Life is and we're talking about like I'm talking about ethical differences. You're talking about terminology differences. What is considered human, what's considered person, what's considered all of this stuff. And the logical conclusions of a lot of this is just going to be, I'll bring up a bunch of arguments about why I think there should not be big government limiting these things. It's going to cause a lot of harm to women, and I think it's going to be very oppressive. And I'll also appeal to I think we should relate more to Europe versus Saudi Arabia and other like fundamentalist Islamic states that we are siding with when we do these laws. And I don't want to side with like Russia, which has similar laws, or another very regressive and oppressive state. I'd rather be closer to Europe on issues like that because Europe is much more free than those countries. And then I'll be like, hey, how about you argue on behalf of why your Christian nationalism sounds so much like I don't know what the term is for Islamic nationalism, but yeah, Islamic nationalism, whatever the term is.
Okay.
So it's just like we'll go through back and forth. It's not going to change anyone's brains or anything, or anyone's position.
Okay, so you just said that the maternal mortality rate is increasing, and I just have to refute that real quick. It actually is decreasing. In 2022, it was 22.3 deaths per 100,000 births, and in 2024 it was 22 per 100,000 births. So over 2 years it actually decreased by 0.3 deaths per 100,000.
Well, here's the real take. So let me see. So in 2023, according to the let me see here, Journal of American Medical Association, states with abortion bans have a 62% higher maternal mortality rate on average. That was before Roe v. Wade was overturned. And now those same states have like 30% higher mortality rates. So the red states already had a much higher mortality rate because they don't care about mothers or women's rights. They care about just fundamentalism. And yeah, so what you just brought up is just like a not really a point, to be honest. But I mean, I respect it, but you should look up the state by state numbers, and it's just a trade off you have to make. You're sacrificing women for what you deem to be the proper big government policy. And even if you disagree with doctors or disagree with a bunch of other people, you can side with Saudi Arabia. You can just look at yourself in the mirror and realize you should be a citizen of Saudi Arabia instead of America, and it's fine. I appreciate the conversation, but I just think it's really repressive, and I don't want to be like those countries. And I don't know.
Okay. Okay, this is kind of a different argument, but you said earlier that you are against the government mandating people's or women's right to choose for any reason. So then are you against Iceland's policy on aborting Down syndrome babies?
I could look it up real quick.
Because in Iceland, if a woman finds out that she is going to have a Down syndrome baby, they force her to abort it. She does not get a choice.
That's not true. And this is another thing. If you heard this somewhere, don't trust the person who told you, because they don't have a policy where it's mandatory. They have a high rate. They have a very high rate of abortions if they have a prenatal diagnosis of Down syndrome. Iceland just provides very powerful or very strong prenatal screenings, and the screenings are optional. But people framed it as a policy for eradicating Down syndrome. But it's a society-driven trend. If you look up Iceland's government as well, there's no policies. Let's see, Iceland Down syndrome ban. Iceland Down syndrome ban, and also it's good to. I hope you're someone that'll take that and be able to, see that it's not true. Because if you base your opinions on other things that are not true, you could end up in bad places. But yeah, here's an article from CBS that explains what it actually is. Here's an article from Washington Post. Here's an argument from the government of Iceland themselves. Because Iceland's government had to release multiple articles about this because it was spread in 2018 as a lie about their processes. And they announced that the Icelandic law provisions of the UN Declaration of Rights for Disabled Persons, and they are highly committed to protecting the rights for all humans and even those with disabilities. And yeah, so that what you just said is not happening.
Okay, well, if theoretically it was happening, would you be against it?
If the government forced them to terminate it, I'd be against that. The government's forcing them to terminate. It should be the woman's choice.
Okay, at least you're morally consistent. That's good.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'd be against the government forcing. So, for example, we could talk about. I mean, and I'm gonna take another call then, but vaccine mandates. I would say there should be the MMR vaccine, for example. I would say it's 100% necessary for public education. If you want to send your kid to a public school, you got to get it. But also, I'm not going to say we're going to show up to your front door and make you take the vaccine. So that's a different argument from pro-choice. But I know people bring up vaccines a lot. No, for the MMR, that's measles. We talk about meningitis. Vaccines like that, I would say if you want to go to public school, you need to be vaccinated for those.
Okay.
But for COVID, I can understand during the pandemic why you would need to do something for federal workers or try to do it. I didn't agree with all the policies, but I do understand why with national emergency happening or a pandemic, why you would want federal workers to be vaccinated. But I also would not be okay with the government showing up at people's doors and forcing them to do vaccines. So yeah, I mean, I'm against government forcing people to do that stuff wholesale. There should be some opt out for that, but also I think that's consistent with other freedom. But
okay,
then
wait. So are you saying that if a person works for the government, they should be forced to take the vaccine, but otherwise no?
I'm saying that I can understand the arguments during a global pandemic where you would say that federal workers need to get vaccinated. I can see the arguments. I can see the arguments for military members getting vaccinated because for the military, for example, if you get sick and you cannot work, or you get your whoever you're working with sick as well, your fellow soldiers, or if you're working anywhere in the military, you can jeopardize the safety of everyone. So that's why you need to have vaccines in the military. Same can be said for medical workers and also for federal workers. So if you want to work in those fields, I can understand having mandatory vaccines for those. Or if there's a high chance for you to get other people sick, you're taking away other people's freedom to be away from measles, for example, if you don't get vaccinated. And you send your kid to public school. So those are limitations I can understand, for sure.
Okay. Okay, I see your argument, I guess.
Yeah, there's some diseases what is it? It's smallpox or chickenpox or one of the diseases. Maybe even measles as well, I think, where you can be vaccinated, and if you have enough repeated exposure, you can still get it. So even if you are vaccinated, it's not going to fully protect you. Obviously, we know that from the COVID vaccine. They're not force fields. So I don't want people to take other people's freedom away.
Vaccination against the disease is getting the disease.
Yeah, and it's if anything,
it is 20 times better than any vaccine.
Well, let's say let's say I have I don't know. I have a secret disease that's gonna kill everyone, and I know about it. I'll survive it, but everyone else is gonna die from it, and I know that very well. And I purposely go out and I'm like, I don't care. I'm gonna get people sick and people die. That is like an ethical argument, which I don't want to have right now. But you could say, well, that person that knows they're gonna be fine, they get other people sick who might not be fine. So like maybe if you have COVID in in the early pandemic stages and you go cough all over a nursing home, you just don't care, and a bunch of old people, die. And then you would say, well, that person might be able to be tried because they intentionally harmed other people. Or if you like purposely, like obviously give someone a smallpox blanket, like back in the day of all American heritage, that would also take away freedoms from other people. So that's another like argument for, but I don't want to do that right now. I appreciate the call, but I'll let you give like a final word.
Okay. One other quick thing. What do you think about Donald Trump closing the Department of Education?
It puts us behind even more globally for education. All the best education systems, or most of them, have a national way to fund it. The Department of Education, yeah, so like Norway and a few other countries have national funding, because if you don't, which is what happens in America right now, we use property taxes usually. So we have really, really good schools and really, really bad schools. And the Department of Education kind of helps get the poor schools more funding. So getting rid of it makes it more unequal, and makes the disparities greater, and has our lowest common denominator sort of fall off even more. So yeah, if you look up the top healthcare systems, if you fund it by property taxes like we do, you're going to have huge gaps in education. Then you have cycles where the poor areas have bad schools, they get more poor, less opportunity. Then the rich areas become really good. Then that's how you get really high crime rates with high levels of inequality, and that's a whole thing. So I'm against it 100%. They could, if they wanted to reform it, that's an argument.
The biggest predictor of crime is actually fatherlessness, but like bad schools are also cause crime too. But
the biggest predictor of fatherlessness is living in a poor. Well, the biggest predictor of that is living in a poor community with no opportunity as well, by the way, and high levels of addiction, for example. So white communities in rural America also have high levels of fatherlessness. It's not just fatherlessness, and that'd be correlation, not causation. Causation, the more causative factor is going to be poverty and a lack of opportunity and high levels of inequality, and also mental health issues and even environmental factors like lead in the water or bad air is going to be an issue. But yeah, I appreciate the call. Hope you have a great night. Thank you for calling in. It's fatherlessness. Watching friggin' Charlie Kirk all day. It's fatherlessness. Please drop a like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Please, you can call in. Someone else can call in. If you want to donate to Jolah Politics on Venmo, Cash, or PayPal, really appreciate it. Really appreciate it. Thank you for watching. Appreciate you guys. Thank you for joining me for a little bit tonight. Thank you. Hope everyone's doing dandy. I'll call you back, 410 number. What's happening here? Wait a second. Thank you so much, Jeff. Thank you so much for 2443. I don't know if I saw you before. Thank you so much for the donation, man. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I just saw that now. Thank you, man. Thank you. Really appreciate it. I just saw. Yeah, my bad. I didn't see that. Sri for $5. Thank you so much. Sri. Andrew, thank you guys. I'm sorry I'm sorry I didn't check that. I really appreciate that. Hello, this is Jolah Talks Politics. What's up?
Hello, yeah. What's up, Jolah? I think we've talked before. Right.
Did we talk before?
Yeah, I think we've talked before. Well, I don't even think. I know we have talked before. So what's on the agenda today? I haven't been watching the stream recently. What's on the agenda? What is the main talking point today?
On my brain, Donald Trump is a communist. And it's kind of crazy. He's like a communist and a Marxist. It's really weird.
What?
Yeah, he's been a communist recently.
Whoa. That's the complete opposite that I thought this was going to go. Yeah. Why would you say he's a communist and a Marxist?
So Trump is making Marxist arguments or communist arguments about materials. So he's saying like Americans don't need multiple brands at the grocery store. We just need one or two. We don't need material. What is money? Money doesn't really matter. That's a big statement from Marxist or Marxist-Leninist or talking Soviet Union. He made some Mao arguments. Mao had this big thing where all the intellectuals, all the researchers had to go work in the mines and work in the factories to be closer to the national interest and the national spirit of the working class. Because those communists are so pro-working class, they want everyone to be working class, poor working class forever with no chance of ever leaving. So Trump has said that as well. He spoke at University of Alabama. He said, hey guys, I want all you to use your degrees to go work in the mines and work in the factories and work in the steel plants, which obviously I really appreciate workers that do that. But just the idea that those jobs have no value. We need everyone to be, throwing away education, going in the mines. Everyone should be. We should not be focusing on AI or robotics. We got to focus on just going back in the mines. Also today, Trump put a 100% tariff on any movies coming into America produced in foreign lands. He says, which is a policy ripped straight from North Korea. North Korea has an embargo on every single form of outside media. And yeah, it makes no sense to tariff movies that were shot in other countries, including movies that are shot in America and other countries. So all of these policies are very consistent with like North Korea, communist Russia, and also like the former communist China with Mao. So it's been wild. Trump is a commie now, dude.
I don't know if I agree with that. I would say it's more going down a more dictatorship type path because I'm actually surprised hearing you say that because I'm very confused. I wouldn't say it's a commie path. It's more of a dictatorship because I would even say modern day China. Yes, they're called the Chinese Communist Party, but I would say modern day China is not even communist. North Korea is probably your best example there in that argument. But I guess you are right that if you want to talk about like Maoist China and stuff, sure. But I think that's just more consistent with dictatorships.
Well, yeah, it's all the overbearing nationalism. Nationalism almost always leads to an authoritarian government because they say sacrifice yourself, sacrifice your ambition, sacrifice your wealth, sacrifice your material for the glory of the nation, for Mother Russia, for what did they call Germany? What did Hitler call Germany? I forget.
The Reich.
Yeah, well, I forget what Hitler referred to it as. Yeah, I know that's. I forget if did he have like a Mother Russia?
Well, he would just say Deutschland. A lot. Well,
like
that just means Germany. I know that. Like, I don't know, but yeah, I'm actually surprised to hear you say that because I don't. Wow, that's the complete opposite of where I thought this conversation was going to go. Well, because I don't think
sorry.
Yeah, I don't think I agree with that in general because I don't think. If you're going to compare it to communism and stuff, if you want to get into like base communism, they're not really, at least what Lenin and Marx wrote. I don't think Trump is really following that because it would have to have a lot more to do with like the workers should be in power and all this stuff.
Well, no, they never do that though, right? I'm saying this is what communism and fascism always turn into.
In practice, I agree. In practice, that never happens. I agree with that 100%.
But communism and fascism, it's a difference in flavor. It's the same tactics, same repression, different enemies.
It's horseshoe politics.
It's for sure.
Politics, literally.
Dictators are going to dictate. Yeah.
I actually think we agree. Yeah, fucking shit. But no, yeah, I'm just surprised to hear you say it because I actually think we're getting more right wing. When communism and fascism, I guess necessarily aren't even right or left wing, depending how you think about it. But I think we are leaning more towards a fascist or an authoritarian or a technocracy more than communism. In America.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we're not gonna. Communism's not real. It's never gonna work. So, like, communism, when I say it, is authoritarianism with the aspects of giving up materials. But I mean, it's a combination of Mussolini, Hitler, Stalin, Mao, Putin. Like all their rhetoric combined is what the current Trump cabinet uses. He's too stupid. I mean, he did have the Hitler books like the New World Order and Mein Kampf like next to his nightstand, which is a little bit weird. Some people might say it's a little bit weird.
Is that actually true? There's a picture of that.
He said he never read it. He said he never read it, but yeah, he said he never read it.
Yeah, right.
He did have it though. His father was a KKK member. His KKK, and then Elon Musk's grandfather was a known neo-Nazi. Published books about the technocracy. So it's okay though. Who cares? I mean, nothing's real. They're joking. They are memeing. And Doge is doing a surveillance state. They want to do a Chinese-style surveillance state in America, and no one understands it. No one gets it. I don't think it'll work necessarily, but it's scary.
I think we're basically already there. I think we're basically already there. Sorry to cut you out. I think we're basically already at besides the cameras that have facial recognition on every corner, basically, we're basically already at a Chinese.
We do have that too.
Well, true, but not to the extent China has. be honest about that. Like we don't have it to the extent China.
From
That's on
where
every street corner.
America was freedom wise to where it is now is a bigger jump than what China ever was to where they are now. It's a much bigger jump. Our democracy has degraded at a level no one thought was possible. But when it comes to like Mao versus where the current regime is in China with Xi Jinping, like it's really we are falling from much greater heights, of course. So
I think that's kind of fair. Yeah, I think that's fair because we used to be a lot more free and stuff, and and there's still free places in America, and I think a lot of that has to do with just land mass in general. It's harder to dictate what's going on when you have a bigger land mass. And China, of course, has a very big area of land. So, but
a lot of
they were
people.
able to. What's up?
They got a lot of people, but I mean, when Trump is hating Europe, hating Canada, hating all these countries, we are sacrificing everything basically because we need those countries with us. Like they are extensions of America. That is true when people say that, but it's a good thing for us. It benefits us greatly to have extensions of America and free countries in different treaties and allies and trade deals. Like America dropping all these countries and even with immigration, America needs immigrants for both high level research and also low level manufacturing. Immigrants have always done the shitty jobs in America. It's not right, obviously, but we need people coming to America. We need immigrants. Immigrants power America. Without immigrants, America is nothing. Unironically, America is nothing without immigration. And objectively, and we're killing everything good about America. We're giving up all of our partnerships, and I guarantee you, there are stories about the Nazis being on drugs all the time. I guarantee you Trump's cabinet is high off their ass, is 24/7, gritting their teeth, ready for the next chance to lock up. And even the El Salvador prison. I know no one feels this right now, but the El Salvador prison situation is on the level of Auschwitz. It's on the level of these concentration camps. Not isolated. So when I say that, I mean like isolated for historic purposes. Like it's not a full Holocaust, obviously, but the way we have turned illegal into a word that means essentially this person's an animal we can abuse and do whatever we want with, and the government can just say they're an illegal terrorist and do whatever they want as well. It's the same extrajudicial hearings, same concentration camps, same gulag, same forced labor. It's modern, of course. It doesn't feel that way, but we know for a fact that 50% or more of the people sent there were completely innocent and seeking legal asylum in America, and they escaped gangs in El Salvador and Venezuela. But Bukele works with the gangs in El Salvador. Once his gang members back, so they don't squeal or rat in the U.S. And then we have Venezuela nationals. You know, Venezuela was going to take people back through deportations, but they stopped because America was going to deem them a foreign enemy with the Alien Enemies Act. So we are the innocent people being sent to El Salvador with no hearing and the acceptance in the American public. There's not nearly enough of a rebuke to what's happening. But I guess we did have Guantanamo Bay and everything. So, but this is probably worse than that. Even they have lawyers. But I mean, the force. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Yeah, you hit me with 4 topics.
Bloom Films. Thank you so much for all the donations. I don't know what that all is. Jules, is that a lot of money? I don't know. That's a lot. Bloom Films. Bloom Films is going crazy. What is Bloom Films doing in there? Bloom Films is spamming. What is? I don't know what that means. Thank you. Thank you, Bloom Films.
Hell yeah.
I think that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry.
Support the streams, man. Yeah, but because that you hit me with a lot of things. So I'm not going to be able to hit on all of them.
No, that was for my YouTube clips. Don't worry.
That's no, it's all good. It's all. I mean, I support to an extent everybody. I think everybody in America should be able to have their own opinion, as long as it's not a destructive and very violent opinion. Because I think a lot of people have violent opinions and they're pushing violence on purpose. But if when it comes to the El Salvador thing. I don't agree with a lot of how that's been handled, but I agree. I don't agree with the number you said that 50% have been seen to be they're completely innocent. I know there have been innocent people sent to El Salvador though, but what do you think about the gang members though? You're saying you think it's inhumane to send murderers and rapists to prisons like that? I don't think it's super inhumane. Gang members, murderers, and rape, some of the worst of humanity.
Well, first off, we know for a fact at least 50 plus. All right, out of the few hundred, 50 plus is guaranteed. We know we're here legally following the asylum rules, going through legal entry, doing all their check-ins with DHS and ICE. So we know for a fact they were sent there by mistake. We know the number is 50 plus. More names are going to come out.
You
So
said
that
50% though. You said 50%.
no, okay, I said
to be fair,
50%, and when I say that, I base it off of we know that 50 of them have zero cause, okay, at all. We know that only 25% have actual evidence of crimes. We know 75% do not have any evidence. So when I say 50%, I am extrapolating from the 50 we do know, and also knowing that only 25% have provable crimes. And the government has had weeks and weeks and even months now to show proof of criminal, action among these people. And the most they can do is lie about a guy's tattoos on his hand, like Rodrigo Garcia's tattoos. They can lie about that. That's all they have.
what is the tattoo
yeah.
you're talking about though?
The skull,
Specifically?
the marijuana leaf, the smiley face, the cross in the skull that they said means MS-13, and Trump lied about.
Okay, well, yeah, because I mean, I don't know too much about that, but I'm like, gang tattoos are a real thing. I'm sure you're very well
Well,
aware
yeah,
of
but
that.
they don't get like
Yeah.
cute little finger pictures. Like Rodrigo Garcia's tattoos had a marijuana leaf for get high, or no, smoke weed, and then the smiley was for get high, and then the cross was for praise God, and then the skull was until I die. So it was smoke weed, get high, praise God until I die, and it's a pretty popular arrangement. But they said it was MS-13 because of M for marijuana, S for skull, or wait, no, M for marijuana, yeah, S for wait, no, it wasn't even S for skull. It was S for smile, S for smile, cross for one, and then skull means three. But if you look at the actual MS-13 tattoos and talk to experts, that's not the tattoos they use. And when ICE, another way to look at these cases as well, whenever ICE needs to go to an actual courtroom to prove someone is a part of a gang, they have zero evidence. Every case is falling apart. They had this big press conference saying, we found a lead kingpin of the illegal gang invasion. And it turned out they had zero case on him. So they dropped every charge and they went through with normal deportation proceedings, which is extremely minor compared to extrajudicial, extermination campaigns to an El Salvador super prison. But you said something about like
Well,
being
no,
yeah.
that I feel like that's what. Sorry to cut you off. That's like a big extrajudicial extermination campaigns is a crazy way to
Do you realize,
paint
and
that.
if you're in that El Salvador prison, you are beaten and you work and you are starved until you die. You know that, right? They are slaves until they die.
Well, uh,
There's no chance to ever leave, right?
In American prisons, you're slaves for some shit too. Like I don't. You would have to explain to me the
Okay,
massive
so
difference.
in El Salvador, they're in a hot climate. Okay, a very hot climate. There are zero windows, zero air condition. They have steel pads like a warehouse. They have like 50 people for like 5 steel pads. They all sleep on top of each other. They are abused constantly. They have to work in like textile mills and other manufacturing plants. They are beaten. They are starved, and there's a routine amount of them just like dying randomly. Bukele works with the gangs in El Salvador to do his stuff, and that's why America is actually helping Bukele get back some of his kingpins, who he wants back, so they don't squeal and rat. Like I said before, like it's a very corrupt organization and very corrupt thing. But like in general, I do not want those camps available for any person. I do not want those available for any people after that. And this is myself and my own moral arguments. I do not want us to enact destruction upon other human bodies. The only goal of prisons, in my opinion, is taking away the threat of someone from harming anyone else. Okay, that's the only goal. That's why I'm for life in prison instead of death penalty. I do not want the government to have the ability to put someone in a death camp or to execute them with no chance to reverse it, with no chance for repairing the situation if they get
I
something
agree.
wrong. So that's my big
I
argument for
agree.
against it. And my other big question for people is like, why the hell? No one even asked this question because things got so freaking crazy, dude. Why do we have a prison in El Salvador that we're paying for sending people to? Why are we like? Why do we even have a prison in
True.
El
Yeah,
Salvador?
that's
Like, what the hell's going
it's
on?
actually unconstitutional, at least in my opinion, based off my understanding of
Even if
what
it wasn't, why though? Even if it was not constitutional or unconstitutional, why are we doing it? Like what? Like no one even thought about that. Yeah, like it seems like they want a loophole, right? An authoritarian. They want to justify using the Alien Enemies Act and expanding executive power. It seems, in my opinion.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I think we can agree on that. Yeah. But I'm sure you're well aware a lot of prisons in America definitely exploit prison labor as well.
Yeah, but they get paid something and they can leave. If the government says they got it wrong, there's a process in America. They can leave. They have much better conditions in general, and they do get paid something. Even if I think like the firefighters in California are still bad, obviously, it's like comparing the working class people in America to Chinese slaves. You know, it's not even somewhat similar.
That is kind of fair. Yeah, I know you're like put me down that pipeline of train of thought, but that is kind of fair. And yeah, because it's funny. I think last time we talked, we were talking about the firefighters in California, and I was talking about it's unfair how they had no the prisoner firefighters had no pathway to become real firefighters after they got out of jail. And I was talking about how I thought that was super like crazy and stupid because it's like, isn't jail supposed to be about reformation instead of just straight punishment? But of course, that's not how people see it. I don't give a fuck. Oh yeah, you robbed the fucking store. Oh yeah, you robbed the store. Okay.
Yeah, and there's
Like,
there is a pathway for it, but of course, if they have a record and they come out, I don't know if their time in counts towards their training
they
or
actually
not.
don't. If you have a felony record, you cannot become a firefighter in California. If you have a felony record,
I'll have
and
to
like I
research that
said,
a little bit.
yeah, I could be incorrect, but I'm pretty sure if you have a felony record, you cannot become a firefighter. So that's why I said, like, if you robbed a store, and it's like, oh yeah, you would have to rob a store for like $1,000 or a couple $1,000, but it's like, I feel like that's way
Oh yeah,
different
there's
than like,
issues with background checks I'm seeing. So, expungement process, it makes it easier. They passed the bill to make it easier to expunge the records, but it can still be a complex process, especially if you come out of prison with like nothing, nothing on your back, and you're trying to get, going through a training process and not having money can be a definite issue. And yeah, that's a tough one for sure. They have to. I want to
they
do
gotta
research on
fix
them
that.
sometime.
Yeah, they gotta fix that, bro, because I'm telling you, like, those prisoners are doing some of the most hard labor when it comes to firefighting, and they understand it better than most people, and they're not getting the recognition that they deserve,
Yeah, and
in
that could
my
be a way
opinion.
to like that could be a great way for opportunity. It could provide a high, even doing a crazy job like that. It does provide some type of high as well. It can give someone purpose, and yeah, that's definitely a really good pathway. I definitely think. Before I go on to one more caller for tonight, I'm gonna look up. I forget what they get paid. What do California? Let me see. I'm curious what they get paid. Ooh, yeah, that's crazy. $10 per day, brother. Oh my god.
Yep,
When deployed
dude,
to
yeah,
active
yo,
emergencies, they get an additional $1 per hour when they have active emergencies. I think they should get paid minimum wage. I think that should be a law nationally. If you are working, you should get paid minimum wage. Or like, yeah, I'll just go with that. If you can't pay minimum wage, you should
yep.
not be using their labor. Honestly.
I think yeah, it should be about minimum wage. And especially too, you got to think when you're in prison like that, commissary is more expensive. We could buy it. Well, and they can't buy jars, of course. They're buying bags, but like say like a jar of pickles or something. They're buying bags of pickles. They're buying a bag of pickles for fucking $6. We buy a jar of pickles for 2. You get what I'm saying? Like
Yeah, yeah,
everything
yeah.
is
It'll be more
upcharged.
expensive. Yeah.
Yeah, everything is upcharged. So they're paying them less and expecting them to pay more for basic goods. So
Some says a
it doesn't seem to.
monopoly. Yeah, the prices are crazy. But also like, and I got a couple of people calling. I'll just say this before I move on. I appreciate the call as well. But um, yeah, people say California is like this liberal safe haven, but it's really not that far. I mean, as far as progressivism goes, it's far left socially, definitely, but economically, it's not very left. So like they'll exploit people. There's not. I mean, there's better labor protections than red states, but it's still not amazing. So like the idea of California is this progressive haven is just it's never been true. And it's still obviously one of the most powerful. If it was a country, it would be like a top 10 country in the world because it's so big and has so much power, GDP. But yeah, there's a lot of issues
Yep.
there that are not really progressive. It's more of like a liberal conservative, like conservative economically than liberal, very liberal socially for sure. But
Well, yeah, I was gonna say it's probably like a moderate, more moderate liberal how they deal with the economics. But that would just be my
well, they
opinion.
say the
They
gays
are a
can be
little bit.
free, but don't take my money. That's what they say.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But yeah, take more calls, man. Fucking good talking to you. fucking, uh, I don't know what to say. Yeah, dude, I'll just say it, and you can be like, yo, fuck you after. But I make music and everything, and fucking, if one day you want to check out fucking my music and shit, that would be sick, Jola. I've been in your chat for a bit, so.
What's your music? Tell me.
Oh, 77 BB on SoundCloud. 77
Is it
BB.
on YouTube at all?
Well, yeah. My YouTube is Tacos Legit. I have one song on YouTube. I'm making music videos with this dude in fucking England right now. We're trying to get it like popping, right?
England. All right. Well, yeah, maybe I'll look at it sometime. But
Yeah.
you know,
I
you
know
can
you
shout. People
probably
can shout
won't,
stuff out.
but I'm like, dude, I didn't do this for like promotion. I know you probably won't. I didn't do this
Oh,
for
I'm not big enough
promotion,
to promote
but-
anybody. I cannot promote anybody. I'm not nearly big enough for that. But yeah, I appreciate the call, man.
Oh yeah, man. Have a nice night, man.
All right, thank you too. I'm going. LOL. All right, I'll do one more caller, I think. Or wait, two more? I don't know. Thank y'all for all the donations. Thank y'all. I said y'all. That means I'm a real white man. Thank y'all for all the donations. Really appreciate it. Again, if you want to donate through super chats or through gems on there, I appreciate those very much. But also Jolah Politics on Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal. Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal. Really appreciate all the support on there as well. Yeah, thank you guys. Thank you. Thank you again, Jeff and Sari from earlier this stream. I'll call. Okay, call lines are open again. Drop a like on the stream. Hopefully, we can get more viewers. Please drop a like. That me. Oh, you're that guy. Tacos Legit. Yeah, I remember seeing your name. Crap, I missed another phone call. All right, should be open now. Nice.
To accept.
Howdy.
Hi, I'm new to your channel.
You're new. Yeah, what's up? What do you want to talk about?
Well, I just see your title. Trump is bad. I don't know if you're being facetious or if you're serious about Trump being bad and diversity being good. So I wanted to get your opinion before we got into our innocuous repartee, as they would say.
Yeah, so Trump is cutting cancer research. We're losing manufacturing. We're lowering taxes on the wealthy while increasing taxes on the poor through tariffs and small businesses through tariffs. Trump is talking about banning certain speech he doesn't like from tourists and students. If you say something anti-Israel, big crackdowns on free speech, suing or attacking law firms. Attacking anyone with the presidency who says the 2020 election was not stolen, and also Trump's talking like a communist. He wants us to have no goods, no materials. He wants us to, just sacrifice all of our possessions for the nation. And what's the other big thing I was going to bring up? With diversity is amazing. Diversity is the best thing about this country. Without diversity, America would not be nearly where it is right today. Those are my current thoughts.
Okay. That's a lot to unpack. I won't.
Yeah, I know. You can pick something you want to talk about.
Yeah. I won't address all of them. First, I just have a question for you. You said he's raising taxes on the middle class and lowering taxes on the rich. Okay, what tax code is he using to do that? Because that would be illegal. You definitely may be correct in your stance, but give me the tax code so I can go and look it up.
Well, you would need to look up. So, the power of taxation is within Congress, obviously. That includes things like tariffs. So Trump is calling a national emergency every day, pretty much, to do tariffs across the entire world.
No. I understand that, but I need the tax code. Everything is dealing with tax. It's all implemented, as you said, through Congress, but there is an actual code that goes along with those taxations. So you said if he is raising the taxes on the middle class and lowering the taxes on the rich, I need the tax code.
I don't have the tax code. I have the policy names, and I, just in general,
across
the board.
That's fine. The policy name definitely should have a tax code attached to it, So let me get the
I don't know
policy
what the
name.
current Republican budget code would be. I don't know if that's it, because that's
Okay,
not
then
completely
that's no
passed
problem.
yet.
Give me the policy name that you're referencing right now that they passed in Congress to raise taxes
Congress,
on the
no,
middle
no,
class.
okay, so okay. Let me explain what I mean. So tariffs are a tax on Americans, and he's raising those extreme across the board.
That's through theory. You said something specifically that held a truthism to it. Something that
Okay,
you
okay,
claim
okay.
to
Don't
be
interrupt me for
fact.
1 second. Tariffs are across the board,
Okay.
10% in every country. Then we have China at like 200%. Those tariffs in general are the largest tax increase on small businesses and American consumers in probably 100 years. It's the biggest tax increase by an American president unilaterally without Congress, pretty much in American history. So yeah, tariffs are a huge tax increase for the American people. That's already enacted. I don't know if there's a tax code for it because they turn them on and off every day. It's done through through executive order and emergency order. So I don't know what answers to give you with that, but I know they want to reintroduce the tax cuts that were in the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act for the ultra wealthy. I think they want to go further. I'm not sure what the exact numbers are. They're still debating that in Congress, but the tariffs are already happening this week. And yeah, it's going to cost American families on average around $2,000 to $5,000 more per year for lower class, working class, and middle class consumers. So.
Okay. And I sincerely apologize for interrupting you. So what you just listed was political theory. There is no fact to what you're saying. You broke it down eloquently, and I definitely appreciate that. But what you just said was erroneous. There is no tax code attached to what you said. You're giving political theory into why you think his policies is causing the rise on middle class taxes. However, you did not explain how it's lowering taxes for the rich. You said taxes are going to go up, which all Americans will share in, but you did not specifically explain how it's going to, raise or lower on the rich. I understand what you're saying, but retrospectively, that would be considered theory. You're trying to tie two things in together.
Are you saying the current tariffs are theory?
No, I didn't say that. I said what you're doing, you're trying to tie in Trump's policies into what you believe is raising the taxes on the middle class and lowering
take out the tax bill then. Take out the tax bill on tariffs alone. That's a tax raise. Let's isolate tariffs then.
So first, I would need you to take back. So it's nothing to do with taxes. You're admitting, and
tariffs
I
are
love
taxes, right? Are tariffs taxes?
Tariffs affect taxes. And
tariffs are import taxes, right? They're import taxes and duties.
I mean, if you want to explain it in that manner, I understand where you're coming from, but defined, if we're going to go by definitions, tariffs are not taxes.
Okay, what are tariffs then?
Tariffs are affected by taxes. So
what do you mean by that?
Decide to, I'm sorry, say it again.
Okay, what do you mean by, so when you say tariffs are not taxes and they're affected by taxes, what does it mean if Trump says
so when something, on a small scale, when something, let's say, is being shipped across seas into the U.S., in order for them to do business with us, like China's manufacturers or Canada, Trump is essentially charging them to ship stuff to the U.S. or to do commerce with us. What Trump essentially wants is for business to be ran in the U.S. So if you want to do business, if you want to avoid tariffs, simply make American-made products, which, because China, if you look how China's system works, there's a certain percentage of manufacturing rights that when companies go over there that they have to give to the Chinese government. So I believe, in my opinion, I think that's unfair. I think if we're going over there, you're taxing Americans to do business in China, but then we can't tax you to do business in America.
You're taxing importers. When you import something, the importer pays that. So you have like the importer of the record, when you have a customs declaration, The tariff
Yeah.
needs to be settled by you, the importer, a small business in America or a corporation, or if you buy something from a Chinese company like from Temu, you are paying that tariff in order to receive those goods at the ports in America. Americans pay the tariff though, right? Not the other country.
Yes, but what I'm trying to explain is I like Trump's ideal of tariffs. Reason being is forcing companies to do business in America. They will not be tariffed if they decide to put their business or company in America.
Well, they're not going
And
to.
I think, and I understand that. I understand that, it's their free right.
No, do you know why
on the
though? Do you know why
market.
it's a bad policy though?
Yeah, explain. I'm definitely I'm all ears.
So like how long do you think it takes to move like one factory for like I don't know, batteries or whatever factory you can imagine?
Explain. I'm not too familiar.
Like
with
how
it.
many years would it take if Apple, what's one company that you think of like Apple or something? Like how long do you think it would take Apple to move a factory from China to the US? Like how many years would it take to have a factory up and running?
I would say probably quite some time.
Yeah, so
You,
like
you, but
yeah.
but you would have to give me an historical reference where a company was moved from across seas back to their manufacturing homeland.
So yeah, we have examples from like China to Vietnam or from China to India, which Apple on the earning reports, on their earning reports said it'll essentially cost. They gave a number on how much it costs. They gave a estimation for the amount of time to get factories up and running in different countries. It's usually like 3 to 5 to 10 years for factories to move entire supply chains. It takes like 10 years. So like if tariffs are done by Trump and they're on and off every few seconds, and
Okay,
they
can
could
you
be
give me an
maybe.
example of a company?
So like I'm just saying in concept. So if a company needs to make a 10-year investment on something, companies usually make 5 or 10-year investments. If the tariffs are not real policy, if the president can take them on and off whenever he wants to, and the president can take them away in a few years or just like give exemptions or whatever else, the company's not going to make a 10-year investment on something that might change, a policy that might change. So it's not a stable ground for business to invest in America. That's why we're seeing funding freeze rather than be invested in America, and we're actually having declining manufacturing investment in America due to this freezing effect.
Okay. Now, the only thing is you said it was a concept, so you haven't given me any concrete evidence of a company.
Okay, I can't do it, dude. I can't do it. I want to be nice, but I'm gonna be mean if we talk. I'm gonna be mean. I'm gonna be mean. I'm gonna be mean. If you cannot reason with the basic concepts of how tariffs work, of how taxation works, of how businesses work, of how supply chains work, I am not gonna give you an example with data behind it and waste that time if you cannot have a conversation on the basic premise, the basic just like variables at play here, the very basic variables. If you cannot have that simple conversation, even just as a person, you don't got to know everything, you don't got to know anything, but if you're going to interrupt the entire conversation and talk like the human embodiment of a sloth, I can't do it. It's not entertaining. It's just like painful. It's just painful. The whole conversation on are tariffs a tax? Well, tariffs affect taxes. Oh my god, dude, it's so painful, dude. Oh. Please drop a like and subscribe. Drop a like and subscribe. I'll take another caller. I can't do that. I'm sorry, buddy. Have a good night. Thank you for calling. Appreciate it. 615, call back. I saw 615 call in. If you want to donate to the channel, Jolah Politics on Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal. Jolah Politics on Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal. Thank you for watching. Thank you for whatever. What's your evidence? I don't have evidence, dude. I'm just stupid, obviously. It was kind of a meme.
Call from.
Hello?
Hey, what's going on, man? I like your conversation. I really like your forum.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, no, you hung up on me yesterday, and I see that's like a thing you do is like whenever you can't really articulate your thoughts, you kind of hang up on them. But I have a really good question for you.
Ooh, yay.
What do you think about lobbyists? And most of our politicians are backed by AIPAC.
I think that lobbying should be reduced in America in general. I think APAC is boring, and I'd rather talk about, you know. All right, 615-763 call in. That was that guy who was really anti-Semitic, by the way. What about APAC? It's like, yeah, man, okay.
Rest in peace, Reckon Riley, and all the victims to illegal immigrants. Fuck you,
the
fucking
fuck from?
piece of shit,
Yeah.
dumb motherfucker. I hope you get your
Yep.
bitch.
Hey, what's up, man?
Nothing much, are you?
I'm good. I love what you're doing. I just was swiping through and saw that little argument. I just would like to respond. I'm definitely on your side of things. I'm from Tennessee. I'm surrounded by hardcore Republicans. I'm a hardcore Bernie Sanders fan. I'm a socialist, and it just breaks my heart having to argue with people. I actually got fired about 4 months ago from my job because my coworkers wouldn't stop talking about everything, and I got into an argument. And anyways, the whole situation with the tariffs is the fact that, so when we're trying to do trade with other countries, like if you, to bring up, for instance, what happened in Canada, where they pulled American whiskey because it was 4 times more expensive than the stuff they had there because of the tariffs. That's hurting American businesses. Not only that, you have the way that the tariffs are affecting American workers. So the businesses that are getting these, and the way that the taxation thing goes is with big corporate companies, corporate America, so what we have going on is a lobbying situation where in these political campaigns, mega companies and mega billionaires can fund and throw all this money and then they're basically, they bought that representative. And
so I don't want to cut you off, but I am so I have my master's public policy. I volunteer for multiple Bernie events. My audience hears this literally every single day. I appreciate you watching and liking and stuff. But you know, if someone agrees with me, I want it to be like a direct. Yeah, no. Thank you for doing that. No, but yeah, I have questions for people that agree. If you have questions about anything like that kind of stuff, and yeah, but I got to keep the show moving as far as debates go, just so people don't stop watching because they agree with you, obviously. So I appreciate it. Do you have Discord, by the way?
I do not. I'm just on YouTube. I was seeing this stuff that got me worked up because I always want to talk, but Ben, I live in Tennessee. I can't tell you how many times I get shut down. And
join a Discord. Join our Discord. We have people talking in there every now and then. Not a huge channel yet, but in Discord.
I'm
and everyone who's
watching. Man.
Yeah. Hang out. Join Discord too, because we have talks every now and then. So we could, and you know, like I said, I was at a few Bernie events, so we could connect on that and all that kind of stuff. My Discord's in the channel descriptions and all that kind of stuff. But I appreciate the call. I hope you have a great one, man.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, I can't do that, brother. I'm sorry. Can't do it. I say the same things. I appreciate you watching. I appreciate you.
Hello.
Appreciate you. Hey, how's it going?
Hi. We lost contact the last time. I don't know if you hung up on purpose or.
Yeah, I just can't have such a conversation that's not going to go anywhere.
I thought it was good.
Slowly.
Your people in your comment section seem to appreciate it.
Well, it took us a long time to get past that tariffs are taxes. It's just like, you know.
Okay, I'll just address diversity, and that will be my last
okay.
point. But can I just set one standard talking to you? Just one, that if you do make a claim, can you just give facts to back that claim? That's all. That's all I'm asking for. So I won't have to ask you. If you tell me, because I want to look up the information you're giving, and I want your audience to be able to make a clear judgment with the evidence that you're giving. That's all I'm asking. If you say something, then give evidence to back it up.
Yeah, so like if you don't, I'm talking about basic concepts. So if I'm teaching a college class, for example, I'm going to go through like the way you do math before we go into equations. So before we get to that point and we come to an understanding that this is how things work in like private markets, if you don't have that basic knowledge already, then I don't want to go through the whole thing. But I'm looking for pretty combative conversations. Well, not combative, but just like free, like conversations that move quicker. But if you want to talk about diversity quick, we can do that.
What's your thoughts on diversity? I'll move quicker. What's diversity? What were you like it?
Diversity is probably you need diversity to be in a free country. If you cannot handle diversity, it's challenging. Diversity is very challenging. But the reason it's a strength is because you need to be able to accept people from all different backgrounds to add to your country and to maintain a free society.
Name one country that benefits from diversity. China.
America, greatly.
No. Not America. I said name any other country that benefits from diversity. You said
that benefits
from diversity. Name one country. China. How many of the Chinese people that are currently there right now are not Chinese?
I'm not sure what the numbers are. I think 80% are. I don't know. Well, let me see. I have to look up the demographics again.
Okay.
1 second.
Okay, so I'm going to put you. All of the countries that I'm going to give you are all going to be in the 90th percentile. You give me one country that benefits from diversity.
Han Chinese make up 92% of the population, so
92.
that's the dominant ethnic group.
Woo!
Yeah.
92. Okay, and they have such a robust economical system. You tell me.
Well, no freedom, right? No freedom, sir.
Okay, well, you tell me one country that benefits from diversity, what we're talking about on the GDP scale, that has a functioning economical system. You tell me one country that benefits from diversity. I'll wait, and your audience will wait too.
So, I mean, it's hard to not bring up the U.S. because, like, the U.S. and Canada.
I know that's the only country. That's the only country you have.
Well, and Canada as well have greatly benefited from diversity. Australia as well has really high success with immigrants, and the U.K., France, and Germany.
Who has the best economical system right now?
The best economical system, probably I say the most solid, especially with the current political landscape. China's above the U.S. now. I'd probably say for economics.
Singapore. We're gonna go to Singapore. We're gonna travel.
Oh, I thought you meant like as a giant, but Singapore has a very authoritarian government, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just talking about GDP per capita. They have a very good economical system, right? What is their so-called diversity scale? I'm trying to reason with you, and I'm because I know you need the conversation to move fast. There is no country on God's green earth that benefits from diversity. There is.
Let's see. So Singapore is 74% Chinese, 14% Malay, 9% Indian. So it's much more diverse than China, for example. It's not as diverse as.
All of them are from Asia.
40% of Singapore's total population is non-citizens. It's 31% Buddhist, 19% Christian, 15% Muslim, 8% Taoism and folk religions, 5% Hinduism, 20% no religion. So that's actually really that's pretty diverse, man. I'm not gonna lie.
No, that's not the majority of their population are they're from Singapore. So the point I'm trying to make, you just listed China. You list the major tycoons that are actually producing most of the world's wealth. There is no diversity. So when the
United States, you cannot just take the United States out of the equation. If you want to avoid the LeBron James of countries, the United States, who benefited from immigration more than any other country historically, then you can make a good argument if you avoid the obvious elephant in the room. Of course, you could do that if you take out the strongest example of your opposing view. How can you not talk about the U.S. in this conversation?
Okay, so I'll put the U.S. in. That's fair enough. I will put the U.S. in. What part of diversity? Because you said I don't know. You pertaining to religion, sexual orientation, gender. When you say diversity, what makes diversity? How different do you have to be called diverse?
Diversity in general, saying it's a good thing, it's like I said before, there's a reason you don't have any homogenous countries of only one race that stay free, because you have to be able to allow the free flow of people, information, and also economic trade to maintain a free society. So in America right now, we could take people from any background who can work the low-level jobs, high-level research from different countries. We could take anyone from anywhere for the Olympics. Look at our Olympic team. We have people from different countries, different cultures, different generations of immigrants that are here. But you're going to see distinct groups doing different sports that they're good at. That they're good at. And America wins in the Olympics. We win in research. We win in academia. We win in technology. We win in these areas because we can accept immigration in a way that other countries cannot handle it.
Okay, but what can you define diversity? Because I need a definition so I can better understand what you're saying.
Diversity is the melting pot where you could have a bunch of different people from different demographics come and assimilate to the culture, maintaining their own characteristics while also being able to benefit and interact with the whole of the country as well. I'd say diversity is somewhere in there, being able to deal with a multitude of people from multiple backgrounds and being able to have somewhat of a functional society.
Okay, so outside of the African American population who contributed the most to America, sociologically, economically, where else is it diverse? From what I know, you know, and I know you're probably familiar with the civil rights and you know, prohibition and, you know, different historical events that took place. So back then, you know, during slavery time, can you give me a time period to where diversity was used either to free the slaves, or when you talk about Black Wall Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma, where was the diversity in Tulsa, Oklahoma that had Black people, you know, I don't want to say living large, but was in a very good economical stance back then? Where was the diversity then?
I also think white people should do reparations.
Okay, but can you just answer my question? Where was
you
the
can argue
diversity
that
during
so Black
slavery?
Wall Street, so slavery and Black Wall Street were an example of a country failing with diversity. Yeah, so that was bad. I'm against that.
I'm sorry. You broke up.
So America was more authoritarian and more controlling once when we rejected diversity. I think that proves my point further that diversity is a good thing if you can handle it, because you need to be able to handle it to make sure that doesn't happen.
No, I mean, the definition, that's all. I'm just trying to, I don't want to hamstring you on definition, but that's the only reason why I asked for a definition, just so I can understand your point of view. Me personally, I don't think diversity works in the way in which the left wants it to work, to where they incorporate your gender, your sexual orientation. I think those things matter. They you know, they don't matter at all. And if, you know, on your side, I don't know if you're left, I'm just going to assume that you're a liberal. Harvard University, you know, you had a good amount of Chinese students sue Harvard because they didn't want to be diverse. They did not want to admit Chinese students, but yet they're talking about diversity. So there is
so like Harvard, when doing affirmative action, their attempt was to try to fix systemic racial slights against Black people that the American government never did. That is, you know, it was struck down by the Supreme Court. I was against quotas and everything like that, but I still think there should be programs like DEI, for example, because it's still more equal and more merit based to do that.
Okay, I mean, I don't know, because W.E.B. Du Bois, before you know, the Reconstructive period took place, he was a Harvard graduate.
Okay.
So they were already super, you know, diverse. I gotta research the law on which you're talking about, that they were trying to make it more diverse. You know, he was the first prestigious Black person to graduate from an Ivy League school. So
yeah, so another just really quick, when you look at the numbers of like so people in going to the colleges, we can also look at class background. So if you see a high level of Chinese students, and also like you'll see Chinese, you'll see Jewish, you'll see Indian, you'll see many different cultures, you know, have higher prominence at universities. It's largely because they come from more wealthy backgrounds. If they're in America, they're probably more wealthy. They can go to the top institutions, but then you have Black Americans who, for many different reasons, are not going to have as good SAT scores or opportunities. So they would say, for example, maybe a Black kid has a 1400 SAT score versus a Chinese kid with a 1500, but the Chinese kid is from a rich background, or more likely to be. We're going to give a chance for more Black people to come to school, because if that happens long enough, then the systemic issues will resolve, and we will not need affirmative action after a certain amount of time. That's like the thinking. If you support communities and provide like work boots and opportunities and education, then eventually you don't need affirmative action. That's the overall goal with it. So it's a complicated thing, but like that's why I'm so in favor of like DEI, because it's, well, I mean, I hate the word DEI now because it's villainized, and they used it for a substitute for the N-word. But look at that DEI politician and their DEI friends. It's like, okay, just say the word already. But yeah, at the core of it, the 1960s DEI laws, they were about equal opportunity employment. It was about like bypassing and making sure that fewer people hired on the basis of whatever race or sex someone was. And it said that you have to give like your job applications to every single community to at least give an equal opportunity to compete. But affirmative action is much further past DEI. Like affirmative action is a radical form of DEI that was never instilled in American laws. So people are a little bit off there when they talk about it.
Okay. All right. Well, I understand your point. I will leave you with this. I believe when you base I believe in meritocracy. I believe in you merit-based workforce to where if you're good enough to do the job, you get the job. I believe when you base things off of people's skin tones and their so-called gender or sexuality, I believe you are now becoming, it's what they would say reverse racism, but I think it's prejudice because, that's what the KKK, that's what the white Klansmen or the white councilmen did back then in the 60s where they were trying to take away rights from blacks. They would base everything was based off of the person's skin tone. And it may look good in retrospect for you to say, because you're an impoverished black boy, we're going to admit you into our school or our Ivy League school. And most of, when they do that, they end up dropping out of the school after a year because they don't go off of SAT scores. They simply go off of that this person was black.
Well, no, I'm sorry. I have to go back against that because it's holistic admission. So we're like, I got a DEI admission because I'm from a poor rural area. So if you're from a poor area, if you have a disability, if you're in any minority status at all, whether it's class or anything, DEI could help you be in equal competition or even not equal. It's never equal because the rich are going to have the opportunities first. But there's a reason that 90% in the year 2025, 90% of Fortune 500 CEOs are white men. And it's not exactly a mistake that a lot of their wealth came from slavery and came from people that profited from slavery. There's only 2% black Fortune 500 CEOs. There are only 2% Hispanic, and then 9% Asian. I don't think black people get nearly the fair shake they deserve based on the hard work and the skill level, like you said, meritocracy. The reason we had these laws in the 60s that Trump is reversing is because people would hire white people over black people in a discriminatory fashion. The idea that we're doing reverse racism now, that a lot of white people will say because they get offended whenever a black person is able to speak. I'm against people that say like you need to shut up for every single black person. I don't think that's right because black people can be wrong too. But also I'm very against people that think it's reverse discrimination when white men are still in charge of society. They are 90% of CEOs. They're 80% of managerial positions. They own the vast majority of wealth in America. So it's like when people say we had a big reversal because of 2020. In 2020, like even after all that, it was still 90% white men as Fortune 500 CEOs controlling all of society and owning all the money. So of course, university admissions are going to have more white students and more Jewish and Asian and Indian and whatever else because. If you're from higher income categories, you could hire SAT tutors. You can have these things that allow you to get into schools. Now, for me, I had a lower SAT score, but I went through a lot more shit in life. So once I got to college, I was way better than my peers at everything, basically, because I knew how to work my ass off. I was from a real background, especially in political stuff. They knew all the terminology, but I was always more effective. And if we go by the old rules before DEI, I would have never had a chance to even compete. So I just really go against the notion that it's like reverse discrimination. Does that happen? Maybe. But all the policies that Trump talks about being, giving black people the ability to be pilots when they can't be pilots or whatever. There is no job in America where it's a pilot job or something. It's being given to a black person just because they're black. And it's pretty degrading for black people because, if you're a black pilot, you work your ass off because there's a lot of barriers in place that you have to get through as a black person to be a pilot. So it's just like that's the normal thing they bring up. And I don't know. It's a thing I talk about a lot because people talk about DEI all the time because Trump never shuts up about it because he's stupid and he needs to talk about race issues to divide us so they can steal from us more so the rich can be richer and all that stuff. But yeah, that's my thing.
So I have a question. What about the Atlanta Compromise, Booker T. Washington, 1865? What about his notion? Because his notion would totally go against with what you're saying. He believed meritocracy. He believed in once white people pass your buckets where you stand. The most famous speech by an abolitionist in his time. And him and W.E.B. Du Bois had a great debate about it, but he believed that if you were to show that you could do the work, that not, saying that racism would disappear, but essentially that it would denigrate that belief of so-called colorism, that if they saw that you could work hard and that you were capable of doing a job, then you would start to see change. So I understand what you're saying about DEI, but you have people like Booker T. Washington, Sandy Lou Hamer, all of these people that paved the way for black people, myself, I'm an African American male, to be where they are today, they would totally disagree with DEI. So just read, all I'm going to say, read the Atlanta Compromise, 1865 of Booker T. Washington, one of the most prolific, beautiful pieces of literature, and just go and see what he said about so-called racism and what he felt about DEI. And then
well, I mean, history says that Booker T. Washington was really wrong. I mean, the conservative ideology, even for black people, falls on its face often. No, like the whole civil rights movement is based on.
Listen, you didn't say any crazy stuff until then. That Booker T. Washington was what?
The whole civil rights movement, talking about moving the legal process to protect black people as well under law, is huge. Talking about the systems of government saying you cannot discriminate based on or segregate based on race or whatever. Like that was a huge step, and talking about being more upfront with the issues and protesting and boycotting, that was 100% the better method. I think you could do both, by the way. I think you could do both, and there were debates on like Martin Luther King Jr. versus Malcolm X, and then we had but Malcolm X was probably a lot more radical than anyone else that we just talked about. And also there's a story about like John Lewis with his speech. He wanted to be really he wanted to be more had more confrontation at the March on Washington. And the leaders said like, hey, we should probably rewrite this because we don't want to be against the administration. We have to be pragmatic and work, to get more political power to enact more change. Because if we do this, we're going to throw away all of our political capital we just worked for. So I think they can both be right. But I think like you cannot. I mean, you should probably have both. I think they're both right, honestly. But yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think contextually, Malcolm versus Martin Luther King is somewhat antipodean to Booker T. Washington.
I agree.
Versus W.B. Du Bois. Yeah, one was love, one was versus hate. One was essentially being educated, fighting for civil rights. Another one was becoming more hip to how like manufacturing jobs work to get into the work field, build up a rapport, and then by that way. But hey, the conversation is freaking awesome, man. I like what you're doing. I was tell you just to be patient. With Trump, see what he's doing. See what he's gonna do, and we can all go from there. He's only been in office a little over 100 days, so let's just be patient with each other, love each other, and just see what happens.
No, I appreciate the conversation too, and I don't want to be tokenizing with my statement, but it's hard to find a black Republican who's not just like trying to make money on social media, being a complete MAGA guy who just like says Trump is amazing, he's God. Actually, talking about historical things. Like I never had someone bring up Booker T. Washington in a conversation, so that's really nice. I appreciate you sharing that. Because I'll say this too. I don't think I know a lot of liberals and progressives. The idea that you could be black and be a conservative or just have a more conservative mindset is so foreign to them. I don't think they even like consider that there's black people who disagree with them. It's just like, well, if you're a black person, they understand it's racism and they agree with me already. And I do appreciate having the conversation, being able to talk with them. I appreciate you calling back after the economic conversation is annoying because I work in policy, so it's just like it's tiring going through it all the time. But I appreciate you calling back in, man. I really do.
Likewise. Everybody have an awesome night. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Have a good one. Look at that redemption. I love YouTube, man. Okay. I love being a YouTuber. Please drop a like and subscribe. That was a good conversation. I do. Oh, wow, look at that. Thank you. Thank you. See, I enjoy conversations like that because it's going to be, the world is crazy. Brandon. Wait, I know you don't like Hassan, but we need imperfect allies against the MAGA. If we're ever going to get our democracy back, you're crushing it on your lives, brother. Stay strong. Thank you, Brandon, for $35 on Venmo. Thank you so much for the donation. On Hassan. My issue with Hassan is just I talk to people. My big thing is I talk to people who listen to Hassan, and I've never met a Hassan viewer who's willing to vote and organize. And I wish that was not true. But the way Hassan talks about the process really disencourages people from being active because he just like complains all the time, and he never gives like a prescriptive argument that's very strong for how you should be engaging in the system. Like that's the whole thing. It's just like, I don't know. It's like TYT, like the Young Turks. I think they say some things that are right, but when it comes to their to the outcomes, I think they encourage people to not participate in the process. I really appreciate the donation. I hope you understand why I have that position. Thank you so much. Okay, I'll take this one. Hello?
Hey, Jolah.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, what's going on? Hey, so you and your party need to stop the Hitler comparisons to the Trump administration.
I agree.
It's kind of ridiculous. It's like I heard you earlier, and you made a statement that like the Germans, World War II, their administration took drugs and like they found cocaine in Biden's White House. We still don't know. It's probably Hunter's, but we don't know whose that is. But like, we live in the greatest country in the world, and like I know we have a president you guys don't agree with, but like that's what makes our country great, and we got to stop the Hitler comparisons. It's ridiculous.
So from a non-emotional place, so the comparisons would come from trying to overturn an election, getting immunity from any illegal activity, sort of like an enabling act, and then seeking to destroy every single court in America and wanting ultimate executive control over every branch of government. So you don't need to bring up Hitler, but I mean you could bring up any person who's an authoritarian. He sounds like a communist right now, so it's really you could bring up a bunch of different names, but I don't think there's any utility for it.
But the first time in history we had a presidential candidate that they tried to throw in jail.
He did illegal things. He should be in jail now, to be honest. But okay.
I mean, the 34 felonies. What was it, like a porn star accounting error? Turned into
that's not nearly the thing I care about. It's more so the trying to overturn the election. Any country that's functioning would not let him be president again legally, let alone electing him again.
Well, I mean, I encourage you to look at the amount of voters, Democratic voters, like the chart. You'll see a consistent, like in the 2008 election, 2012, 2016, you have a consistent Democrat number of voters, and then there's a huge spike in 2020. So he has the right and the free speech to question it. And
no, okay, it's not questioning it. It's going through all these different battles, recounting votes, going to every courtroom, having zero evidence, knowing he's wrong about it, being disproved on every corner. He cannot even answer a basic question on Joe Rogan about any evidence he has that the election was stolen, but he still says it was stolen. That's only the beginning of it.
But there's fraud in every election, but they use the terminology, there's no evidence of mass fraud. But I think, I don't know the ins and outs of it, but like, I don't know.
Well, that's good you don't know the ins and outs of it, because if you did, you would know that he's full of shit. So I know you don't know the ins and outs of it. So,
but I think I don't know. And I worked with a guy, and he was really progressive. I remember it was the summer of 2020. Tensions were high. He was a BLM activist and extremely anti-Trump. He's the guy in January 6th who filmed Ashley Abbott getting shot. So, like, why was he there?
So I can't talk to any conspiracies or whatever else you might have, but all I can say is, so when we look at all the claims of voter fraud from 2020, so the claims, potential voter fraud, even if every claim was true, would be there's 475 cases of voter fraud out of 161 ballots 161 million ballots cast. So even with potential cases, there'd be a 0.0003% of voter fraud. That's potential, so it's probably lower. So when we say it's not going to swing the election, when Trump says he won every swing state in 2020 and he won the election, enough to say the Capitol Police are the enemies and the January 6th people are the heroes. After they violently assaulted the cops with lead pipes and the American flag and riot shields, and brain damage was caused, and eyeballs were lost and fingers were lost. Trump to cause all that violence and then to back it up and pardon them and then meet with Enrique Tarrio, who's a leader that was in the Proud Boys that sparked a lot of sparked January 6th essentially. Proud Boys were the first ones in the building. I don't believe Enrique Tarrio was actually there. But yeah, still, none of this stands on any type of logical ground. You just have to kind of believe people's words, which I don't think you should believe politicians like that.
No, I agree, but I just think there's a lot of hecklers, and I thought that the January 6th thing was way overblown. Nobody got charged with insurrection. Nobody. You have an individual, Ray Epps, and oddly, the New York Times was defending him. I think something sketchy was going on, and then you have Elon finding all these corrupt NGOs going on in the government. Where's all that money going to? I'm getting into conspiracy mode, but you have to imagine, like, there's a reason why Donald Trump is elected, and everyone's kind of don't trust the system.
So in insurrection arguments, that is one thing. It means something. The word insurrection does mean something, but 320 got charged with obstruction of an official proceeding, which is a felony. 315 got charged with assaulting, resisting, or impeding law enforcement officers. That's a felony. And then we have, let me see.
And they should be in jail,
Yeah, but
ridiculous.
The fact Trump pardoned them is insane, and I think most people agree with that, even people that are like, I don't know, that question things. 14 people got charged with, 14 plus people got charged with seditious conspiracy from the Oath Keepers and Proud Boys. Like Enrique Tarrio, the leader I said before, and other conspiracy charges. So everything but insurrection was actually charged. And I believe the numbers around 1,300 were federally charged, I think. And some got probation, some got 20 years in prison, some just got, like they're on a list now probably, or they were before Trump wiped it. But yeah, I mean, these are completely relevant charges, and a lot of people beat the shit out of cops that are now free, and many of them are actually child abusers too. And it's crazy that Trump let those criminals back into our neighborhoods, knowing they're criminals.
Well, yeah. Well, it's crazy times in America, but like, I think it was politically. But I think the Democrats used that to smear any Republican.
That's a good thing, though. I mean, it's not a smear if it's a bad thing. Like, it can be a true smear, and it would not be a smear then, I don't think.
And then, what was I going to say? And then everyone's calling Elon a fascist. The guy literally bought Twitter, exposed the fact that there were FBI informants working within, telling to take down certain posts.
No, that was actually that was not in the Twitter files. Whoever told you about the Twitter files, you should read it for yourself sometime, because no FBI agents, there's no evidence or proof of Facebook or Twitter getting messages that say you need to take this post down from the FBI. At the most, they have like a guidance that says, hey, there might be misinformation or disinformation coming, watch out for it. That's all they had. There's no instructions saying, hey, take down this post about someone. In fact, the only people who are from the government who did that knowingly are from Trump's administration, about mean posts about Trump.
Being sent, it was regarding Hunter's laptop, and then they did censor those posts, and that was before
Twitter and Facebook did that on their own. They did that on their own. It was not because of a instruction from the FBI or anything.
It's the loophole, but
it's not the loophole. You're saying a bunch of things that are just not true, man. I mean, I don't know what to tell you other than you just believe fake things. Like Trump right now is using 50 ICE agents per college student that dares say something anti-Israel or pro-Palestine, to say they're using anti-American speech, revoking their visas, cracking down on their free speech. Trump is suing CBS and a bunch of other companies and extorting them, ABC, all these other companies. He's using executive orders and going after law firms to force them, to extort them to do free legal work, to do pro bono work for him. Like, he is doing more attacks on freedom of speech. He's suing pollsters that got something wrong just because he doesn't like them. Like, this is the biggest attack on freedom of speech ever from a U.S. president, for I mean, at least in modern U.S. history. And I don't know why people still bring up this like random message. It's partisanship. It's partisan hackery, really, because it's so crazy that people can't speak out against what Trump's. Even the 2020 election, like, I don't even know if you could admit that it's not stolen, and Trump keeps saying it's stolen, and he blames the Capitol Police. He says they're the enemy. Like, it's all just so insane. I'm so sad America, this beautiful country's falling to this bullshit.
Well, he's the freedom to say that. I don't believe that it was stolen.
No, okay, he's the president. He's going after his own administration officials, his former officials, by executive order, going after them to be investigated by the DOJ, direct lawfare, actual lawfare, and no one, like, oh, imagine if Joe Biden signed an executive order to go after a specific person. Like, it's so, the DOJ, Pam Bondi, that dumbass, she said that she is Trump's personal freaking lawyer. She told him at the cabinet meeting that he saved 268 million American lives because they have to suck up the dear leader. Holy crap! It's just so. Oh man, I wish there was a middle ground here, but there's really just
on
not.
both sides, dude. You have
No, that's not an
workers
argument.
under the
That's not an
Biden
argument.
administration not even acknowledge anyone with a Trump sign in the front of their lawn. They wouldn't support them. Then that was acknowledged. That
Trump
was legal.
literally did an ideological sweep through federal government, and if you say the word diversity, you get fired. You can't even say the word diversity without getting fired. Like, that's straight language and thought policing at a scale we never saw before.
Well, I think it got a little out of control, and it should be merit-based. I do agree with diversity, equity, and inclusion. I do, but it should also be merit.
It's mostly merit. It's less merit now. DEI is more merit than without DEI. Because without DEI, we see right now we have Pete Hegseth, a drunken asshole, and he has a makeup department in the Pentagon. Powdered Pete Hegseth, Proud Boy little. But yeah, we have all these goofies working for these weenies. These straight weenies are in the White House now, replacing all the people of color. And now everything's falling apart. Like Newark Airport right now in New Jersey, they had to cancel like hundreds of daily flights because they cannot staff it anymore because there's so many issues on the tarmac and issues with plane crashes because we got rid of the wokeism apparently, and now things are falling apart. But yeah, DEI for them is the N-word. They are racist. I'm just saying they're racist. It's not about merit. They don't give a shit about merit. They're giving all the jobs to their rich friends. They don't give a shit about merit, man.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like, that's another thing. It's the middle class has been getting wiped out since I would say the last Great Recession, and it got really, specifically in the past 4 years, a lot worse and worse. And I think Americans are broke. I think people are nowadays. You could use your card and you could buy groceries and then like pay over time. Like, it's a ticking time bomb where we're living in. But I don't think it's a Republican versus Democrat issue. I think that's just
Democrats are not good enough, but Republicans are doing everything to make this country worse. Objectively, every single thing they've done so far has made America worse with Trump in office. I mean, like, can you defend at all? Or I mean, you sound pretty reasonable, I think. So like you say, the middle classes are having issues and small businesses. Trump was on the news this week. Is it Sunday? Yeah, this morning. He said that working class families don't need dolls for their kids. He said that essentially, if you're a small business, who cares about you? He cares more about the big businesses because he's using tariffs, which are going to be the biggest tax increase in American history on working class and middle class people, the actual consumers in our economy. Meanwhile, he's going to cut taxes for the top 1% again. So if you care about the middle class, you do not want Trump, he cut cancer research in half. He cut the VA by 80,000 positions. He's he's killing America, dude. Oh my God.
Maybe on paper it sounds like that, but they've found more efficient ways to run the government. And, as for the tariffs thing, we'll see what happens. And there's an $8 trillion shift coming. So I'm not going to suck my thumb in the corner. I'm going to divert and try to cash in on this change. The tariffs are going to be temporary. And there's a workaround on tariffs. So, when a customer places an order from China, the container comes in overseas, and then Their goods go into a bonded warehouse, and then they're going to store there up until the negotiations change, because it's like essentially a free trade zone. Actually, there's free trade zones, and then there's bonded warehouses.
There's no negotiations to be had, though. Trump is doing this for revenue, he said, and also for control, so he could tell who can sell in America and when they can sell in America. And I mean, even if they ship through like Vietnam or something, it's still a 10% across the board tariff for industries America can't even do domestically, like coffee and other. And he's tariffing movies now, domestic movies, whatever the hell that means. But yeah, there's no negotiations. There's no point to any of this.
I wanted to see a change because we were spending money that we don't have, and we were expanding the government.
Hey, you know what's funny about that? I'm sorry, I don't want to interrupt you, but I need to, because we spent $200 billion more in this calendar year more than we did at this point under Biden last year. Because Doge is spending money, we're losing money because when we invest in different things like the IRS, for example, or in other agencies, we have a ROI, a return on investment. So every dollar we put into these agencies actually produced positive amounts of GDP. We actually like profited, if you want to use the word profit, we actually got more revenue. So we're killing areas of our government that made it better. So cancer research helps us a lot. Having research grants for universities for STEM research, which is what all the university studies are for, that hurts the economy if Trump's going to make it political and use it for extortion and unilateral power raising. We cut all these federal workers that work for the VA and work in rural health clinics that also provide stimulus to the local economy when they're consumers and active consumers, and making sure that their neighbors are more healthy. And also somehow we're killing all these positions. We went for national parks and all the small parts of government. We're increasing the defense budget. We are increasing the deficit. Doge has not decreased. We could look at the expenditures from the Treasury. We are spending more money now than we have forever, pretty much. Trump's probably going to have the biggest deficit of any president in the past 20 years right now, in terms of raw percentage and amount at least. But we're spending more money that we did not have, or we're spending more money that we do not have now than any time under Biden. And Harris would have been much better with the budget, like objectively under every policy we knew about.
So I agree with you on that defense budget. Like, I'm anti-war. That's another reason why I voted for Trump, was that I wanted that Ukraine war to end.
Yeah, that's working out. That's working real well.
It's going to take time, but like I didn't like the path that Kamala would have taken, and it would have led to World War III.
Dude, that's so stupid. I'm sorry. That's so dumb. I'm sorry. I don't mean to call you dumb, but oh my god, dude. What do you think happens in Ukraine? We could talk about some facts on the ground, because I need to hear this.
Well, do you think that us supplying Ukraine weapons and then Biden giving him the green light to go shoot inside Russia is a good idea? That's a proxy.
It's a really good idea. It's a great idea, actually. Amazing idea. That's the best thing ever. I want more of it.
They have the most nuclear weapons in the world.
Who does?
It's
Russia?
Russia.
Who cares? We're America. Who cares? If Russia's going to use nukes to kill everyone, they could take all. Okay, can Russia take over? If Russia takes over France, are we going to help?
Well, yeah, that's NATO. That's Article 5.
Why does that matter? Why does that difference matter?
Because it's Article 5, it's within contractual basis. We had a Budapest
memorandum. It's not a contract, actually. It's not a contract, by the way. But we had the Budapest memorandum with Ukraine. We denuclearized them and promised their sovereignty and protection. So we have that deal with Ukraine.
Yeah,
and Europe needs Ukraine.
Dude, that war needed to end. We were spending billions that we.
It's not going to end. The war is not going to end. It never ends. We have to stop appeasing dictators like Putin, because he'll keep on pushing more and more until he's stopped. But America is little old America now. We're weak, apparently. We can't tell El Salvador what to do. We can't tell Russia that they're bad. Trump can't even criticize Putin because they're on the same team. But we could tell Canada and Greenland we're going to use military action to take over their countries. It's actually insane how much of a beta cuck America is now under Trump.
Oh my God. No,
Vladimir, stop. Vladimir, stop.
we have two completely different perspectives on how it should go about.
Well, I'm just saying, like right now, Russia is demanding more territory than they actually have in Ukraine to stop, and America has given them every concession. America has promised to help them come back into global prominence with trade. America has promised to force Ukraine to take Crimea and 3 other regions of Ukraine. Or to Russia to Ukraine to move the borders and let Russia take that territory. We have given Russia everything they've wanted, and Putin has still spit in Trump's face because we knew for this entire time Russia has not respected a treaty or a ceasefire at any point in the past 50 million years. Okay, and since Putin's taken over, it's been in hyperdrive. And Ukraine knows that. That's why Ukraine will not accept a deal without security guarantees to so-called end the war, because Russia will not stop. Russia will never stop. That's like thinking Hitler's going to stop once we gave him Czechoslovakia or once he invaded Poland. He was never going to stop. They don't stop. These people respect power. Putin respects power. You can't just say, "Nuh-uh, Putin." You have to actually stop them, or it does result in world wars and other wars. Like we have a chance to help Ukraine be supplied with weapons and missile defenses. We're not involved at all with any troops. China's helping fund Russia. North Korean troops are fighting with Russia. Russia is struggling against Ukraine. And also. It's good from a humanitarian perspective. It's good to support an ally. It's good to support someone who a country that we denuclearize to make good on our promises. It's good to support Europe, and also it's good to go against Russia. It is good to weaken Russia because they put bounties on U.S. troops' heads by working with terrorists, by working with the Taliban. Russia is an enemy, but the Trump administration thinks they're our friends because I think they want to be just as corrupt as Russia is. But it's just like
listen, I think it's horrendous what Ukraine's going through, and I really wish we would be doing a disservice for them. They're losing thousands of soldiers per week.
Ukraine will lose people, but you're doing a disservice to them by not being able to think critically or independently, because right now Ukraine's saying what they need. Ukraine knows better than anyone what Russia actually does to countries like them. They kidnap kids, they traffic kids, they have re-education camps for the children of Ukraine. There's a whole network of Russian trafficking from Ukraine intentionally. They strike they were striking religious sites and civilian centers on Palm Sunday. They will never stop. Russia will never stop. Appeasing Russia is making more Ukrainians die. This like very this childish intuition, this idealistic worldview, where you cannot support a country defending itself. Supporting a country defending itself is not pro-war. Russia is pro-war. Ukraine is anti-war. They've always been anti-war. But Trump can't even say that Ukraine is he can't even say he blamed Ukraine. He said Ukraine started the war. He's just on Russia's side. Like Trump's on Russia's side. Trump loves Russia. It's just how it is. Everything he's done so far has been preferential towards Russia. He's given them what they want. He's bullied Ukraine constantly, tried to embarrass Ukraine, spit in their face. Well, I mean, it just makes America seem so weak and pathetic. It's really just sad. Like there's no. Well, it's so sad. NATO is such a big deal too. Like, oh god, if these World War II vets could see how Trump is shitting on their sacrifice because he wants to throw away this entire global stability we have fought for, like they have fought for, that they fought and died for, and it's gonna put our troops in more danger if the world falls apart. It's just so insane. Our troops are in more danger if Ukraine falls. It doesn't matter how it falls. We need to support Ukraine for freedom. I know that you watch podcasts that tell you not to do that, but they're probably freaking paid off too. Tucker Carlson's paid off. Tim Pool's paid off. Benny Johnson's paid off. I'm just talking about facts. I'm sure I guarantee you understand nothing about the actual conflict.
I encourage you to watch. In 2014, there's a professor at the University of Chicago, Loyola, and he's a
think for yourself. Think for yourself. I don't give a shit about this. Think for your damn self. There were ceasefires in 2014 and 2015, 2019. Ceasefires in 1997, 2004. Like we had these. We know this. Look up the actual history. Look at the battle. Look at the intel reports. Look at the military reports. Do some actual damn work. I don't give a shit about your podcast. I don't give a shit about a video you found in 2014.
Do some damn work. And he predicted Russia invading Ukraine by 2020 because of the NATO perspective of an anti-Russian view. And
NATO defends countries from Russia. NATO defends countries. Anyone saying that NATO is aggressing upon Russia or that Russia's invading Ukraine because of NATO is literally brain dead, or they don't know anything. They have not done their own research.
We regime changed in
We did not regime change Ukraine. Ukraine had multiple revolutions over the past 30 years. They've had multiple revolutions and referendums to go and become their own country. They have had revolutions against Russian puppet governments, which is what happened with the 2014 revolution. And Paul Manafort, Trump's campaign manager from 2016, he was a literal paid Russian operative for the Russian puppet government in Ukraine. He had to run away from Ukraine once they had a regime, once they had the revolution. The idea that this was a regime change by the U.S. is insane. There's no evidence for it. It's Russian propaganda, objectively Russian propaganda.
I don't know, man. We're just gonna disagree.
Ukraine
here.
is dying to get to the way. You're wrong. Ukraine is moving to the west to be more free, to be away from Russia, to be away from the Soviet Union. You are literally just brain dead, and you don't want to open your mind up at all to any of the actual facts on the ground. You probably don't even know that about the value we got from Ukraine. Ukraine has provided more for us in intel than we could ever pay them back for, like in the intel that their people have fought and died for of 21st century warfare. But people like you don't want to look into that shit because you are pathetic and you don't love this country enough to do the fucking work on your own. It's so sad to hear you talk about this shit that's making the whole world fall apart.
Ukraine was on the most corrupt countries list from our government.
Oh yeah. Do you know why they had issues with corruption? It's because the Soviet Union plants insurgent leaders and propagandists into Ukraine to make sure it's corrupt, so it falls again to Russian control. That's what happened in the Donbass. That's what happened in Crimea. They were installing people over and over again to make sure to install propaganda and to install soldiers in these areas to force the propaganda upon the people there. So like all the things you're bringing up right now are I could go down every list. I've heard this argument from all the Russian propagandists, all the people that watch Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens and Tim Pool and Benny Johnson, all the people that watch them. It's just so sad, dude. Holy shit. You probably think that. Do you think that Russia invaded Ukraine because of NATO expansion?
Listen, I watched a United States College political science professor predict the incursion.
Do you think
Russia?
Yeah, because Russia invades Ukraine every other freaking day, so it's pretty easy to predict.
Dude.
Think for yourself, buddy. Think for yourself for 1 second. Think for yourself. Okay, enter your mind. You're not a professor. You're not him. You are you. Do you think? Is it your opinion that Russia attacked Ukraine because of NATO expansion?
I think they actually, yeah, that's what happened after. Remember the incursion in Georgia, right? I think it was 2007. Georgia said they wanted to join the NATO alliance, and then
why is it a problem for countries to join NATO that border Russia?
Because it threatens their sovereignty. It threatens their. I'm not a Russian. I have no idea how they fucking think, but they don't like NATO on their border.
Okay,
like
and how many NATO countries are currently in Russia's border?
We have Latvia, Estonia.
So like 5 or 6, all right? Okay, so when Finland rushed to join NATO, why did Russia not have a problem with it?
I have no idea. But I think geographically, I think the Black Sea has a play for it because it's their only warm water port.
So you're getting close. So water port. We could talk about resources. We could talk about Putin's nationalist cry after COVID ravaged their economy with high inflation. He needed a war effort to save his political. I know it's a dictatorship, but he needed to save his economy by going into a wartime economy. So after COVID, with the high inflation around 2022, right, 2021, 2022, then they start to craft. Okay, we're going to invade. And by the way, you said the professor predicted by 2020, but also the high inflation led to Putin deciding to saying, hey, we're going to go into Ukraine. That could be another factor. Okay, so all these, it's just, if it really was NATO, there's already 5 NATO countries bordering Russia. You know, there's 4 bordering Russia. There's 1 bordering the Russian territory. I forget the name of it. But then there was a 5th bordering Russia once Finland joined, once Russia attacked Ukraine. And Putin had a nationalist cry. He wanted to reform the former Soviet Union. He says Ukrainians are Russians. And whenever they say Ukraine is ethnically Russian, they're using the same argument Hitler used to invade Czechoslovakia, that they're ethnically German. So all the reasons that are not NATO are the actual reasons, because NATO has never aggressed upon Russia. In fact, Russia reaffirmed NATO's ability to expand in 1997. There was a deal they made where essentially NATO can expand into Eastern Europe, but NATO cannot house nuclear weapons on the eastern borders. That was the deal after the reunification of Germany in 1993 or 4. And then, yeah, in 1997, Russia said, okay, you're going to expand NATO, don't put nuclear weapons on the border. And NATO was good with that, but then Russia violated every single deal they've ever been a part of, every single deal. And you need to do this history, learn it by yourself, Google it, look up the actual deals from the leaders, look up the actual events, because your take on it is so misinformed. I cannot even be mad at you because you've been lied to. But and by the way, just because someone's a professor does not mean they're always right. You have to look at the whole body of evidence to come to a conclusion here and be able to explain it in your own words.
No, you're right. We're all peaches and rainbows, and we should just support prolonging this war with money.
No,
we
no,
don't
I'm
have.
sorry. I made actual points. You are weak. You're pathetic. You don't have actual points to make. We are not prolonging the war. Prolonging the conflict is letting Russia invade a sovereign territory with zero repercussion because they realize they can do it now because America's a weak piece of shit now under Donald Trump. They can just invade any sovereign territory. America's not going to show up to do anything, even just provide basic aid. America's not going to show up. The only way you show Russia and you stop war is showing Russia they cannot do what they're doing right now. They are not going to shoot nukes. If they were going to shoot nukes, they take over the entire freaking world at that point. They're not going to shoot nukes because they would kill themselves too. They would kill all the resources they want. They would kill themselves too. Okay, you have to think about this a little bit harder.
Listen, I'm just.
You are prolonging the war. You are prolonging the war. You are causing Ukrainians to die because of your dumbass opinions. I hope you have a great night, dumb fuck. I don't even know that much about foreign conflicts. Okay, I just know that. I just know that he really did not know. Holy shit. Please drop a like, comment, and subscribe. Please drop a like, comment, and subscribe. If you want to donate to the channel, please consider doing so. It's a fun time. Through Jolah Politics on Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal. Thank you to everyone who donated so far. But yeah, you realize when he goes to, I guess we're all just sunshine and rainbows. No, dude, you're just a fucking idiot. Like, do research before you have an opinion on a conflict that's killing babies in Ukraine and Russia's trafficking children, and you want to play dick around with it because you saw a speech from 2014 that predicted Russia's going to invade you. You know how they knew? Because Russia was currently freaking violating ceasefires in 2014 after the freaking revolution. Okay, whatever. He predicted they're going to invade by 2020. Did they invade by 2020? Did they invade by 2020? I don't know. Crazy. It's crazy. It's almost like there's a lot of other things going on there. I don't know though. I'm just stupid. I'm a stupid liberal. I care about facts and shit. I know conservatives are all emotions, all emotional babies. They can't handle any tough conversations at all. Like, holy crap. Call in. Who's calling in? I gotta pee. I don't want to leave though. All you amazing people. Please drop a like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Super fun time to be a member. Yeah, channel memberships are $3 a person. Channel memberships are $3 a month. Yeah. Wait, you don't gotta delete his messages, Scarecrow. You don't know that much, but he said you don't know that much, but you just spoke BS for 5 minutes as fast as you could. You could keep that. Someone said obviously you can keep that. It's been fun telling you to shut the F up. You can keep that, I guess. Destiny, is that you? That's fine. You can keep that message. More effing lib. You could keep that too. I'm worried about spam or like threats or PDF allegations, you know. If they're trash talking, that's fine. Let the kids play. If they're being annoying, time them out. I don't gotta ban them right away. Call back in. Who's calling in? I'm waiting on someone else to call in. Team Jolah, thanks. You definitely don't look emotional. Yeah, I'm saying things that are true. Sorry. I am emotional. It's okay to be emotional. People who can't be emotional are pathetic and weak assholes because they can't handle their own emotions because they have to hide from them. Imagine being such a pussy you have to hide from your own emotions. Like, imagine you think you cannot be emotional when you see kids getting sex trafficked. If you can't get emotional over kids being sex trafficked, you are a piece of shit. I'll just say it. You're a piece of shit if you can't get emotional over that. Sorry, I care about bad things. I know you're on YouTube, so you're like, oh, I'm a YouTube viewer. I don't care about anything because I'm so desensitized by the internet. You're so cool, bro. You're gonna be so desensitized. I hope you get freaking desensitized by a woman someday, brother. Why is no one calling back in now? They were just all calling. Now they're not calling. What the hell? Whatever. I don't need callers. We don't need callers for a show. Vandred, thanks for backing me up. What is Vandred doing? Vandred. Call in, like, subscribe. Call in, like, subscribe. I need another caller to call in. Guys, thank you. Hello. Howdy, you're on the stream right now. I don't know if you can hear me.
Hello.
Howdy, what's up?
Am I on right now?
Yep, you're on. You're live. You're live.
Oh, cool. Hey, well, look, I'm watching you from California. Oh. Hello?
Yeah. Hello.
Oh, shit.
You gotta shut off my stream in the background.
Oh, look, I do have to agree with you that stopping the war in Ukraine is a must, but the best way to do that, I'm not even sure, is probably to give them the weapons and stuff that they need. But in all honesty, a lot of people are seeing that it's not working. What do you think would be the best way to do it?
So I'm 100% for giving aid to Ukraine. It's not that expensive. It really is not that expensive. We spend more money. How much money do we spend on the U.S. or on gambling in the U.S. per year? 1 second. How much in total do Americans spend on gambling per year in?
Dude, I'm gonna say somewhere within the trillions or billions.
I don't know if it's trillions. Probably a few billion, huh? Okay, so America.
Yeah,
Jesus, dude. America spends over.
Was I right?
America spends over $180 billion per year on gambling, but we cannot give $120 billion to Ukraine over a period of 3 years to help them fight against Russia. It's so pathetic, bro. I'm sick of pampering Americans. I really am sick of pampering them. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, same here, man. It's kind of retarded that we have to deal with this kind of shit in the first place.
I can't send a freaking large pizza worth of money to Ukraine, but we could send trillions of dollars over, a 4-year period to gambling. Like, it's so pathetic.
Yeah, but in all honesty, we should be sending more aid to the Ukrainians because, from what I'm thinking, Putin is one of those bastards that thinks power is the only way to solve anything. But in all honesty, more wars have been won through less than anything else. I mean, if you take a minute and think about it, look at Vietnam. The Vietnamese wound up beating the crap out of us, beating the crap out of the United States within 12 years. And not to mention the press had a lot to do with that smear campaign too, because, why are we going to send good young men and women to other countries to wipe out people?
Yeah.
It's not fair.
Well, it's also just like funding places like Ukraine, which is a country being invaded, who's 100% in the right. Like, Ukraine, Russia is not any type of like complicated situation.
Oh, no.
It's 100% right and wrong. And it protects our troops. It protects the global order of safety and stability that we had since post World War II. And it keeps our troops safe. It keeps America safe. It keeps our economy going. It does so much to protect sovereign nations that are democracies globally. And we're giving free reign to Japan with Taiwan. We're giving free reign with India and Pakistan. We're giving free reign with all these countries that want to take over other sovereign nations. And like America right now taking a backseat or even supporting Russia is so mind-bendingly stupid from so many perspectives, and Americans are being propagandized against it because the Republicans right now, the MAGA Republicans are pro-Russia. They're explicitly pro-Russia. They want a Russia-style government in the U.S., so they want to support Russia because they like that. But they hate Europe. They hate Europe.
Oh, no. I think they're pro whatever the Cheeto says because, in all honesty, it's whatever Donald Trump is saying. He's going through all this kind of crap, and he's trying to make, Russia, I don't know, dude. It's kind of ridiculous. I honestly voted for Kamala Harris because I know for a fact if we get a lady like her into the White House, we have a lawyer. She'll be able to do all kinds of stuff. Hello.
Oh, sorry, I had to run somewhere real quick. I'm back now. Yeah, I got to talk to someone that I disagree with. I'm sorry, I had to run off camera real quick. I have to talk to someone that I can debate, but I appreciate you watching and calling in though. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for the call, man.
All right, go for it. Later, man.
All right, thank you. Have a good one. Also, anyone watching, I have a Discord as well. Discord, Jolah, in all my video descriptions. Or one of the mods can drop the Discord link into the chat. We talk on there a decent amount of time. Please drop a like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Donate to Jolah Politics on Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal. Really appreciate all the support. It helps me keep on doing this. It's a really tough battle out here, as you can see. Hello.
Please leave your message for...
Okay, buddy. Okay, buddy. You just called me back. Call me again. Lines are open, bucko. F diversity. Call in, Dingleberry. True. Nice. Hello. What's up? You're live.
Okay.
How's it going?
Hello. How you doing, my man? I want to applaud you on your channel, my man.
I appreciate it. What about it?
Well, I mean, I'm a firm believer of the situation with Trump. I completely disagree. I'm a Democrat, but I'm also a realist. I believe that if there was a Democrat in office that act like Trump, I would feel the same damn way for that person.
Yeah.
You know, the thing about it is that it's not even just I'm African American, and I'm 55, and I've been part of the political scene because my grandmother brought me up in politics. The funny thing about it is that for years and years of growing up, I never knew nothing about Doge. I never knew nothing about DEI until he got in office again, until he wanted to mess with the diversity and stuff. To me, he's one of the most racist, disrespectful, uneducated, ignorant people I know that's been in political office. And for other people to even not see how he's tearing apart this democracy is just asinine. I can't understand how people can't see this. This has nothing to do with him being a Republican. This is pretty much the morals of our country. Where are the morals? You know, where are the backbones of the Republican Party? Because you have the Republican Party and you have the MAGA Republicans. There's two different sections of it. And nobody is standing up to this bastard. You know, it was I was reading one time I was looking at I go on YouTube and I was going up and something popped up on my algorithm. And this man said that if Palestine does not come to the table and work with Israel, this, that, and other, he said, we will take Gaza. We will go to war and take Gaza. Who are you? He's just an idiot.
And also just like in general too, I'm definitely someone who focuses on like real racism and real privilege. I mean, I was involved in a lot of stuff in college where they used the words like toxic masculinity, white privilege, and all that. But when I talk about racism, I talk about the real stuff. So when Trump says you could tell someone's a criminal just by looking at him, or when he's like, the pilot crashed, it must be a DEI pilot. Like we all know what they mean by DEI, right. What they mean by all these words, and all these woke people with their woke friends are out here making all this noise. Yeah, it's just like crazy.
You can sugarcoat it however you want to sugarcoat it. You get to just because you don't use the N word, don't mean that we can't read between the lines of what you're saying, dickhead. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't mean that we can't read between the lines. You know, and at the end of the day, I could never. The thing that pisses me off about this election is this: with Kamala Harris, they put her underneath a microscope. With Donald Trump, they put him underneath a telescope. Everything you had to look under a microscope, and everything that they found under that microscope, they want to talk about Kamala and dissect her. But Donald Trump, if he fuck up on Mars, they say, well, he's on Venus. He fuck up on Venus, he's on Neptune. He can never fuck up because y'all finding every way to say, oh, no, he didn't mean that. That's not what he meant. Well, he said it. He said it.
That's crazy. The biggest defense, the biggest defense for Trump is like, nah, guys, he's not actually that stupid. Do you think any person could actually be that dumb? Like, he's joking around. He's got to be joking around. He can't be that stupid. Like, come on. Like the biggest defense
he's that stupid.
Of Trump.
He's that stupid. I mean, let's just think about this. When the insurrection came, and I'm gonna be perfectly honest with you, I'm 5'9.5", cut, I weigh 350. That shit gave me post-traumatic stress disorder. Not because of the fact that the incident, but it instantly took me to, what if there was a shitload of African Americans that invaded that? Can you imagine the casualties, the dead people that would have been out there? Can you imagine how many people would have been dead? But the thing about it is that the only person that got killed that day, it was two people that got killed that day. One was a cop, and the other one was a lady that used to be in the Army, that climbed in and got back to Congress and got shot by one of the Secret Service. Other than that, the only other people that died was 5 other cops, and they committed suicide.
Yeah. Permanent brain damage.
So at the end, and at the end of the day, you mean to tell me that you pardon every one of them,
and
you
no
got
one cares.
mad because you got mad because Joe Biden pardoned his son? And if y'all honestly, let's think about Joe Biden pardoning his son. Joe Biden is up in his years, right? We don't know his health. We don't know anything. But you also got to remember, Joe Biden lost his wife and his daughter in a car accident. So for him to lose his son to jail and be up in his year would be, and he also lost another son to cancer. Because he went to war, came back, and wound up dying from cancer. So at the end of the day, we talking about a man who's up in his years. He only got, he don't have that much left. We don't know. God bless him, and hope he can still move on. But he can never be worse than Donald Trump. Matter of fact, every time Donald Trump came in office, he had a great economy. A great economy. He had a great job rate. He fucked this up on his own.
Yeah.
And everybody.
The excuses made for him is crazy too. And I gotta go to a debater. Then I appreciate the call and watching this stuff and being engaged
somebody
in it.
that you can debate, but I respect you so much for putting that out there, man. I'm clapping for you right now. Keep doing your thing, man.
No, I appreciate it. There's one thing I was thinking of the other day, actually. The word illegal right now they're using, or like, and you said before, you already said about like DEI. Look at the DEI people, the woke people, the thugs. I always said that I think thug is more racist than just saying the N-word. I'd rather them just say the N-word at that point, so we know what they mean. They can't hide it. But also the term illegal right now, it's like you could do anything to a human body. The government can go take a person, they could beat them, they could throw them to a torture camp, they could do whatever to them, and it's like it's okay, guys. It's an illegal alien. We can abuse him. It's just like that word is being used, that otherization, and like we're having modern day concentration camps for America in foreign prisons in El Salvador, and everyone's just like continuing on with their daily lives, And one other thing too, one other example, just like
I just want to give you food for thought. I want to give you food for thought. Do you realize that the Voters Registration Act and the Civil Rights Act has not been re-signed since it has not been re-ratified as of yet? It hasn't been signed over yet. Look it up. Barack Obama didn't do it. After that, Trump, wasn't going to do it. And now Biden didn't do it. And now Donald Trump back in office. So be aware that voters registration, that the Voters' Right Act for African Americans, and also the Civil Rights Act has not been signed. Hasn't. So if he really want to fuck around with people and create some type of civil war, he's going to do something as stupid as mess with something like that.
Yeah, it's gonna be a wild time. The economy's gonna crash and everything. But yeah, like I said, I appreciate the call. Hope you keep listening. I have a couple of people calling. Hopefully they want to debate.
Man, I really enjoyed this show.
All right, yeah, thank you. Thank you for the call. Hope you have a great night, man. We'll be watching for all that.
All right, be safe.
All right, thank you too, man. All right, debaters, come on, master debaters. Where are you? Where y'all at? Please donate to me, please. Jolah Politics. Please help me do politics more. Please, please, please. Venmo, Jolah Politics. If you are rich, okay, if you have decent means, if you have a big bank account, please drop it in there. Really appreciate all the support. It makes it worthwhile. It makes me be able to do. I do real life stuff too. Become a channel member, Patreon, all that fun stuff. The phone lines are open again, by the way. Thank you guys for watching. Really appreciate it. We have 147 likes. Thank you so much, man. We have 147 likes. Please drop a like as well. Help me in the algorithm. This is really good for a Sunday night this late. Really good numbers. 147 likes. 300 viewers still. Consistent 300 viewers tonight. Really appreciate that. Thank you guys. Thank y'all. More likes. Thank y'all. Woke people are so fake. What do you mean by woke people? Just say the N-word, buddy. Got him. Okay. People, you can call in again. No unknown numbers, by the way. If you have no caller ID, I'm not taking your phone call. We can listen to voicemails while we wait. Let me see.
Hey, I would like to debate about Ukraine support and all that. Getting them aid and all that.
Ukraine support. Why do people want to talk about Ukraine? I want to die. I'm sick of talking about Ukraine. I think I've talked about Ukraine more than anything. I don't even know.
Call me back. It's free pizza.
Rest in peace, Reckon Riley, and all the victims to illegal immigrants. Fuck you, you fucking piece of shit.
Hello, you're live on Jolah Politics. What's up?
Oh, hello. This is my name, Ricky. Came here to talk about giving how America gives aid to Ukraine and all that. And just before we start talking all that, I don't have a computer in front of me, so I forgot the exact amount, but it wasn't like 100 billion or something. Like, what was the exact number again? Forgot.
It's like 120, I think.
It's like 120 billion. Yeah. The main point I was just trying to say is that if we look back at history, when Soviet Union invaded Afghanistan, we gave obviously we gave Afghanistan aid and all that, guns and all that. And, a few years later when we went into Afghanistan, because, after 9/11 and all that, they used those exact same weapons against us. My point is I'm trying to say is that we're going to give Ukraine a bunch of guns, and who knows where those guns are going to go after the war. What was your, what's your take on that? You want me asking?
So we had concerns about that at the very beginning, of the invasion, and that's why Biden. That's one of the reasons Biden was hesitant to send a certain number of weapons in. But Ukraine was able to prove multiple checks, and was very transparent. So one thing Ukraine does, they open the door to pretty much all intelligence from allies, and if you're a reporter, you can go to Ukraine. They welcome you there. They want you to come actually. Ukraine's begging you to come. So Ukraine, there were concerns, but they pass a lot of tests. They pass a lot of tests for faith and confidence from the U.S. And Zelensky's done a really good job making Ukraine more suitable for investments and deals. And obviously Ukraine has had corruption issues, but a lot of that's from Russia, and Ukraine also got rid of a lot of the Russian influence in their government. So it's been. I mean, I understand there could be some concerns there, but a lot of it,
I understand. I agree with that point that it looks like they're trying to make sure. But another point is, I know I'm going all over the place, is that it's very obviously it's going to be unstable because it's war and all that. It's bombs, it's very unstable, and usually that leads to a lot of radical groups. Like what's saying a radical group out of Ukraine uses those weapons, after the war and all that. That's the point I'm really trying to make, is that during wartime, like in Afghanistan, like I said, it destabilized that region, and a lot of radical groups came out of there. And it wasn't necessarily that the aid that we gave Afghanistan, those groups that we gave aids to, I forgot the name and all that, they didn't use those guns on us. It was a radical group that came out of there that took those guns. You understand what I'm saying?
I think it's good to arm Ukraine. It's a much more stable situation than the Middle East. I mean, it's not even comparable. Like the Middle East versus Europe and Eastern Europe, even though Eastern Europe is pretty young in terms of being different countries. You could make I don't know. I don't see much of an argument there for Europe versus the Middle East. I don't think it's very analogous. And Ukraine showed no evidence of mishandling weapons or anything like that.
I'm not saying they're mishandling it. I'm just saying, say, I don't know, maybe a year later, there's a radical group that pops up that uses those weapons. Like that's what I'm trying to say. It's not necessarily, it is technically would be Ukraine's fault, but it's just one of those things of all these guns laying around that usually leads to radical groups. If you look back at history, it usually happens.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. If Ukraine allowed that to happen, then we're probably in World War 5000 because Ukraine wants nothing more than to join NATO and the EU. So I can't see that ever happening, unless if Russia fully took Ukraine over. Which I mean, the missile defenses we sent over. I'm not too concerned about being used against us. We sent them outdated equipment too, so it's not like we're sending them
I know a lot of the
stuff,
military equipment's outdated and all that. Yeah, I understand that.
It's focused on 100% on Russia. It's going to be focused on Russia forever. They run out. They can't really use the weapons without our approval and without us continuing to replenish supplies anyway. So, I'm not really too concerned about that at all because I mean, it's not nuclear weapons. If it was nuclear weapons or something crazy, then maybe it's not.
I don't think we're sending Nah. But that was mainly my point. I was trying to understand is that when I look back, I read a lot of books and I read back on Afghanistan and all that. And, I was worried about the same exact thing happening now, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it's a period of 30 years as well. Like, if you look at 30 or 50 years, you can say, like, it'll be used someday. But if in 30 years something like that happened, I would not ever take that into consideration.
Oh, yeah, it's
like,
not going to be
right
overnight.
now.
I think,
Yeah.
if that ever happens, it's going to be probably when I have kids and all, It's, yeah.
Yeah, there's like theorizing about a collapse later, which we can't even predict or see now. Or we have no reason to believe it, and it's too.
Well, I don't want to hold up the line anymore, but that was my thoughts on the thing,
No, the phone lines are dead right now. But yeah, just generally, it's yeah. I don't know. Russia's bad. I want Russia dead.
Yeah,
Bad
I agree with that.
Russia,
Is that Russia's definitely not United States friend, that. But that was just my point of didn't want to.
No, it's an interesting point because people don't bring that up at all. So it is interesting to talk about it because people don't talk about it.
I think that I think we should read history and all make sure history doesn't repeat itself. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Only thing with history repeating itself, it's like this is a number of things that are possible outcomes, of course, and it's good to be wary of it, and they have been that's why, like I said, that's why they had a slow drip at the beginning, and they held off on giving like certain weapon systems to Ukraine. But yeah, I appreciate the question.
Well, I'm gonna go now. I don't really have nothing else to really debate about, but thank you, man.
Yay. Okay. Okay, please drop a like, comment, subscribe. Thank you so much. I just saw, let me see. Thank you so much, MP. Thank you so much, MP, for $5. Loretta, I just saw you give $5 too. Thank you so much, Loretta and MP, for $5 each. Thank you. And passion and truth, I love you. Loretta. Thank you guys so much. Really appreciate it, guys. Thank you. Everyone say thank you in chat for Loretta and MP. Thank you, guys.
Call from.
Hello?
Hello? Can you hear me?
You ever use farmersonly.com?
What?
Farmersonly.com. You know that website?
Dog, what the hell?
You don't know farmersonly.com?
Yeah, every day, bro.
How old are you? Like around?
Early 20s.
Okay, yeah, farmersonly.com. I'm the old age of 25, so it was a dating website for farmers. A lot of good commercials back in the day. But yeah, what's up?
Yeah, I just kind of wanted to ask, like, you seem like a very well informed person.
I'm not.
What? All right, bro. Well,
I lie. I make things up and lie. But yeah, what's your question?
What do you think is going to be like the world scenario in like 5 to 10 years? Sorry. 10 years.
America is gonna probably have some type of violent revolution of some kind, whether it's fascist or like liberal or left or some uprising, of some kind. There's gonna be a huge point there, where things get really crazy. Yeah, 100%. Like this current government's not gonna leave unless if they become so unpopular and cause a Great Depression or something. They're not gonna leave. They have no indication of leaving. They were gonna not leave last election too. But there were enough checks and balances in place, but those are gone now, so they're not going to leave peacefully. I'm not saying it's going to be violent, but it'll be mass demonstrations, like mass protests. Like we see that in other countries as well, where it's big protests that they shut everything down, general strikes, and the people in power have no choice but to leave. So I don't think it'll be like, crazy. I hope not. But there's going to be something.
Mm-hmm.
This government's going to keep on crashing and burning. If Trump continues the tariffs, we're going to be in another great recession, like maybe even worse than 2008, because we have other issues with credit and other bubbles too. But China is definitely going to go after Taiwan. That's going to be really big. Russia's going to keep on taking further looks into Georgia and Ukraine. Russia's probably going to pester some NATO nations on the borders as well. Maybe send some accidental strikes at different ships in different locations, and send like propaganda agents into different countries. Georgia, Ukraine, of course. India, Pakistan. I don't know enough about there to comment on it at all. But yeah, we're probably going to see some type of. I don't know if NATO degrades, we're going to see some type of global conflict or something. It's really hard though, because like China. Never mind. That's too much. But yeah, it's gonna be crazy. It's such a yeah.
Yeah, it's like very unpredictable. Like it kind of feels like, after COVID, like things got like really insane, but it was almost like it kind of feels like you can feel like it's gonna get crazy, but like there's just more crap that just gets piled in. I don't know.
It
I'm
was
kind of
not
an idiot. I
crazy.
just
Like
wanted
we
to see
used to
what you
have
know.
like the thing about modern politics is we live in a really pampered time in the human race. Like we live in the most peaceful times ever, but people don't feel like that. We in America have access to enormous wealth, even if you make just a moderate wage. Like it's a very safe country, but America has control of the entire globe, but we act like victims. We could change the entire world, but we act like victims. We're being screwed over, whatever. And we really could.
Yeah.
Like after COVID was not a big like COVID was big, obviously, but like we used to live in eras where like in the 60s and 70s there were like 5 political attacks, like I don't want to say too many words about it, but like you know what I mean, like political attacks, like big booms and stuff politically, like 5 a day for a period. Like there were more attacks, like mass scale political terrorist attacks in the U.S. in the 60s and 70s, like per week than there are now in years. So like things are so good in America and so good globally right now, in comparison to what things used to be. Of course, there's famines, there's wars, there's genocides, there's concentration camps, there's all these bad things. But largely, like America is going through a self-inflicted period of recession and social conflict right now that we do not need. But we've been convinced to go here, and we're really just falling apart as a society, and the ultra wealthy are getting more power, which is by design. So what we need to do is at least like talk in a way that's like, communities coming together where we support each other. America individualism and being isolated from each other and me, not caring about community is going to be our downfall. So hopefully we reverse that trend. But yeah, it's going to be pretty fun, man.
Yeah, I just want to ask one more thing, if that's all right.
Yeah, sure.
What do you think would be like good, solutions at least just like good ideas for like what could be the seeds of like good things that could at least push things in good direction for the future, even though we don't have that much control. But you know what I'm saying? Like, do you have any ideas about what that could be?
Democrats need to be a full anti-corruption party that bans money in politics and bans stock trading. We need to go towards a more universal healthcare system, and we need more funding for education. But we need an anti-corruption wave in America that returns us to an actual constitutional republic that cares about its citizens and cares about all humans as well, not just citizens, because the way we're treating illegal or undocumented or asylum seekers or whoever is in America, tourists, is unacceptable by any human standards. We need to go back to we need a party in America to really push for a strong vision that brings us back together. And like I'm sick of all the emotional conversations, and this includes the people that talk about pronouns all the time as their main thing, or microaggressions. Like if we're gonna talk about racism and stuff, don't say how you're an ally and there's microaggressions and there's a bunch of shit. Just say why you're right. Like I don't like. I'm not gonna say like I'm all these things and I have all these social labels. We just need people to do what's right and advocate for freedom for everyone, regardless of race or gender or trans or gay or whatever. So we need a cultural shift in America. The big issue, American culture is pathetic right now. We have a weak culture in America. We have whiny babies pretending to be men, like Joe Rogan. Like he's such a whiny baby. Trump does is cry and bitch and complain about literally everything. They're so unfair to me. Blame Biden. He literally said this morning, all the good things in the economy are me and the bad things are from Biden. Like what a baby. What a pathetic, like, oh my God, I can't say enough misogynist.
Not even related to reality.
It's so gas prices are only 198 right now. Oh, tariffs do not increase the cost of anything. The economy is fantastic. It's just we're having a military parade in America now, which is only what you see in dictatorships too, because they have to show strength through their tanks because they have no actual civic strength, and they're not real leaders. So American culture is weak as shit right now, and American culture needs to be in a stronger position. But we're afraid of tough conversations, and we're little babies right now. We have to stop doing that.
Mhm. Yeah, I don't want to hold up the line, but yeah, I appreciate your perspective.
All right, appreciate the call. Hope to see you around, man.
See ya.
Yeah. I love politics, dude. Politics is so fun. I love politics. I love politics, dude. Oh, I love politics. I love talking about politics 24/7. It makes me so happy. I love it. Okay, one more caller for tonight. I think. Is my internet still on? Yeah, it is. After many generals, I've talked about how demonstrating might make you look weak. He still wants to waste our money doing that. Yeah, demonstrating does make you look very weak as a military. Look at Russia. Like, the Russian propaganda looks good to stupid people, but it's really just a show of weakness. Okay, like I've been saying, please consider donating to Jolah Politics on Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal. Please consider you could use coffee as well. Really appreciate all the support. Really helpful. Channel memberships are $3 a month for channel memberships. You can become a supporter tier. Become a supporter tier. But yeah, thank you guys so much for all the support recently. It's been really nice getting back in the swing of things. I will be gone for like 5 days though. I have to go to a wedding. So I'll be out of town from like Wednesday to Sunday. I should be able to stream again Sunday night. So I'll try to stream tonight, Monday night, and Tuesday night. But then I'll have to take a little break. Yippee. Right when my channel gets going again, I have to take another break. What a conundrum. Biden living rent-free in Cheetos Hut. Yeah, true. How do I block this channel? Thank you for adding to my algorithm, buddy. You're so sweet. 155 likes is not nothing to, laugh at. Whatever. Unfortunately, I agree. DJ should stream on hiatus. Yeah. Hate is jelly. Okay, let's chill for a second. How is everyone doing, subscribers? Only my subscribers can talk to me now. No one can hurt me. I think that's enough calls for tonight, guys. Give DJ the channel already. Very true. Closed borders chat. Hi. Alright, I'm gonna hop in Discord a little bit if anyone's in there. I don't know if anyone is. I need food. Here is the Discord link. Again, Discord link is in all the channel descriptions, all the video descriptions. Putting it in the chat as well. I believe it's in the stream description as well. I think the stream description. You sub to your channel. You like knowing about politics. Thank you. I'll try to explain as much politics as I can explain. Yeah, my intellect. I don't know what that is. See, what I like about my content, I do admit if I don't know anything about something. So if I cannot comment on something, I'm not gonna fake it. Usually, sometimes, but I'll only try to explain things that I actually do understand to some extent. X tentacion. Almost pulled your hair out. You feel safer already. There's no one talking. I think being transparent when you're looking something up, isn't that good too, brother? Thank you. I was talking to a local person, like a local organizer or like campaign person, or not like a campaign person, but someone who's like volunteering, and they were saying to someone how they should be humble, and voters like it when a candidate says, "Hey, by the way, I don't know about this. I'll research it more and tell you later." And I'm like, I'm like, I don't know if there's worse advice for a politician than to say, hey, be humble and don't and say you don't know this. I feel like there's a way that can be decent. Like, you have to say something like, I don't know everything, but here's my opinion. You know, you can't just say you don't know something. I feel like that really hurt. It really hurts. I don't know. I do think Trump is purposely destroying America, but mostly because if you destroy the country, you can take control of it and take more power and get money from it more so.
Hey, just wanted to call in real quick. I just heard a comment from you saying that there's no Americans at the border, therefore we don't know if the issue is solved or whatnot. But in the past, I've heard you say like, "Oh, Obama deported more people than Trump did," and something like that. So I don't get what you kind of mean.
Okay, the reason I say how Obama deported more people than Trump did is exactly the issue that you are responding to, where I said, you know, if you're not on the border watching it, Americans do not feel the effects of immigration. Like, they do not feel the effects directly on a mass scale like Republicans want to convince them they do. And that's evidence of it because people thought Obama was weak on the border and they thought Trump was strong on the border when in reality Trump might have been just as bad as Obama, if not. I mean, Obama might have been worse than Trump in some regards. Actually, no, I can't say that. I lied. I lied about that. But Trump did appoint Tom Homan. Wait, no, I said the wrong thing. I gotta go to bed. Obama appointed Tom Homan. You know. So I bring that up to say, hey, by the way, Obama deported tons of people. He was hard on the border, and people still think he's not.
Adding Devin as a friend got me banned.
That's a good one.
Banned. Adding Devin as a friend.
This is from last night when DJ got banned. By the way, a lawyer? No, I'm not stupid. Only lawyers are stupid, dude.
Adding Devin as a friend got me banned.
Friggin' DJ. Funny. Adding Devin as a friend got me banned. Well, okay. Trump is not making decisions. Remember that too. Trump is not making decisions. Trump is literally not making any decisions. Like, even Mike Johnson admit that Trump does not know what he signs. So like Trump is told he gets to make money, and then the people push him around to do things that are gonna destroy American democracy. I don't think Trump cares that much about American democracy. So like, I really don't think he cares that much. Oh, get away. No. We're not doing that right now. Call me tomorrow, buddy. We're going to bed. Betty bye time. Loosely acquainted with Pisco? Yes, I know. I like Pisco. Pisco abandoned me though, because he's too famous. Get me on Tim Pool, dude. I probably live 2 hours from Tim Pool. 2 hours at most from Tim Pool. Get me on there. I'll bring the goods. Alright guys, Discord link is in the description and in the comment. Yes, I am salty, Vandrad. Hey Vandrad, do you enjoy saying salty whenever I bring up Pisco being too famous for me? Do you enjoy that? Do you enjoy it? Do you enjoy how you say salty every single time? Every single time, do you enjoy that? Does it get you off? What is an ethical theory? I don't even know. See, I'm too stupid for this. Let me Google what an ethical theory is. I could probably say it, but let's see. My framework and principles. Oh, it's those big words I hear them use. Ah. Probably relativism, right? Ethical relativism? Social contract theory? Do you have to pick one? They're all so good. They're all so good. I'm just too stupid. I have talked about that before. Justify our politics. We have to be serious and have a theory. Well, I think it's okay. It's okay to lie sometimes. What kind of utilitarian, consequential math is that, buddy? You could probably tell me what my ethics are by listening to me talk about things. Yeah, I don't know. I have to look into that more. I just don't know. I know lying's fine sometimes. I just don't know how to answer that question. I know how to answer like ethical questions. I just don't know how to answer what my framework is because I don't have one framework. I just use whatever framework I can use for the benefit of the conversation. So what does that make me? Does it make me a dirty liar? You could probably shift frameworks to whoever you're talking to. I mean, probably friggin' best out. I don't know. I never had those debates on the actual framing of it. I think lying's okay. Moral truth. I mean, I talk about objective truth with people, but yeah, I think that laws and what truth is really just the sum of what everyone believes. So like, if someone believes in God, then I will believe in God, or I will position myself to work in a framework of what will move them to a better position pragmatically. Or like yeah. There is no truth, though. Truth is stupid. Like, truth is not real at all. Why chat is dead. And the world was better for it. Oh, John Rawls. I read some John Rawls before. Yeah, I read John Rawls. I took a class where I read John Rawls. I read a paper on him. Yeah, and like, yeah, I read like Locke. I read some economic philosophy, and like, it just, I just think I'm like a robot. I just think in terms of what is gonna lead to more safety for everyone, and how can I move someone in that direction. So I really just think about shifting someone's view. So I guess having a grounded principle can work, but I actually don't. I also don't think debating matters in a formal sense. Because I don't care about actual debates. Debating is just a performance, right? So I'll have to, maybe I'll take a test. Is there a BuzzFeed test I could take for my moral, ontological, bibliological, liberalogical framework? Okay, guys, have a good night. See you guys tomorrow at Monday, 9:30 p.m. 9:30 p.m. Let's think about 9:30 p.m. Okay. Let's do 9:30 p.m. Have a good night. Empathetic. Thank you guys for watching. Really appreciate you guys hanging out. Thank you for all the donations, all the likes, all the subscribes. 161 likes. 161 likes. 161 likes. Thank you all you human beings who watch this channel. Thank you. Have a great night. See you guys tomorrow. Join Discord. Text in the city character quiz. Exactly. That's what you got to do to find out your moral framework. Thank you.